Okay, guys, we're live. Jake Robinson with Amazon Hangout Live, and my special guest, Zach Khan. I guess your real name is Zachariah. Is that how you say
Yeah,
it?
Zachariah. Yeah, just like it is in the
Zachariah.
Bible.
Okay.
Yeah,
Spelled a little bit differently, though, than I guess we tend to see it. We tend to see it with an H and say. Anyway,
yeah.
hey, folks coming into the room, please say hello to Zach. Tell us where you're from.
I'm
Where,
from the
where,
UK, Birmingham. I don't know how many. Sorry, okay, sorry. You weren't.
I was talking about all the people coming into the room. Yeah, where are you from, Zach?
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm from UK, from Birmingham as well.
Birmingham. I've been
Yeah,
through there many times. What is that? The M5 that goes through there?
yeah.
M.
It's in bang on in the middle of UK, so
Well,
yeah,
I
you
used
can't
to.
miss it.
I don't know if you know. I used to live in Cheshire. I used to live in Middlewich.
Okay, okay.
I used to drive to London every week. Well, actually, I didn't drive to London. I would drive to. Was it Watts? Oh, I can't remember. It's the main. It's the last main stop outside of London on the train. Watson. Once. Oh crap! I can't remember. Anyway, I used to drive down there once a week, and it was hell driving through Birmingham until they opened up the toll road. And
Okay.
they literally finished the toll road while I lived there and opened it up. And man, did that save a ton of time coming through there. But if without that toll road, I don't care what time you come through Birmingham, that interstate was going to be chock a block going through it, unless it was like midnight. Okay, we got Robert. Where you from, Robert? Ken from Colorado Springs. Rob from Coconut Creek. I don't know where that is either. uh, Dustin from Harrisburg, PA. Jake, I didn't know you lived in the UK. Yes, I did. I was there from 2003 till about 2006 and a half, 2007. And Nova Scotia Picker, actually, of course, he's from Nova Scotia. That's up in Canada, I guess. Alexei from Hespera, California. Christopher, where are you from, Christopher? Giles from Florida. Yeah, man, I tell you what, I miss my curry. On Wheelock Street, there was at the bottom of Wheelock Street was probably one of the best curry takeaways in the whole nation. And of course, there's also the Curry Mile. Have you ever heard of the Curry Mile, Zach?
No, I haven't. I haven't.
It's a place in Manchester where about a mile strip of nothing but curry shops, and like it looks like Las Vegas. It's all lit up with neon signs, and people are out there trying to hawk and try to get you to come into their particular curry shop. And my wife's had relatives in Middlewich, and one of them went to school at University of Manchester, which is right there. So he took us down to the Curry Mile. He knew that which were the best shops to eat at, etc. All right, we got other folks coming in. N-I-N, that's a neat name, from Atlanta. Arjun from India. Hey, good deal. You're the furthest away so far. Jeff's in Ohio. Christopher in Barbados. That's got to be fun. Little Neck, New York. Hello, Kathy. Asim. Hi, Jake, Zach. Asim from St. Louis, Missouri. Robert only likes Thai curry. Robert, you probably got a deficiency in your DNA if you don't like a good curry, especially a hot Vindaloo lamb curry. Michael from Connecticut. Corey from Georgia checking in. Let's see. RJH, hello, how you doing? Kevin's in Singapore. Chan, Louisiana. We got about 60 people in the room. We're just taking a little time because it takes a few minutes for people to file in here. Vicky from Australia, glad to have you. All over the world. Alraza from Dallas. Alaraza. What are you laughing at, Robert? um, yeah, I used to go there every Friday night and get a takeaway, and Habib was the guy that took my order, and I guess he liked me because I was a Southern boy from the U.S., so my accent stood out. He was always asking me questions, but he knew what I wanted to order. I'd walk in, and he knew exactly what my order was. I didn't even have to say it to him. He would just say, "You want your regular, Jake?" I would say, "Yep, let's do it." So Zach, did you grow up in the UK? Are you originally
Yeah,
from the UK? Okay.
yeah. Originally from the UK.
Yeah. Okay. What's that little town right below Birmingham?
There's many.
No, it's bigger.
It's bigger than Birmingham.
No, it's not bigger than Birmingham. It's just bigger than all the other little towns. It's just a bigger-ish little town right below Birmingham. Tolliston? No, forgot my
No.
geography. Rich is chilling in San Antonio. Pam in Minnesota. Fabian from New Jersey. Fabian, do you have that hair that everybody likes? Okay, so give us your background here, because this is, by the way, guys, I don't ever announce this. I guess I probably should. We talk about private label here. This is about how to run a private label Amazon business, or how to learn more about how to become successful at private label. And I had somebody that took the survey, and one of the questions was, how can we improve these surveys? Because I don't have a clue, because I've never done it before. This is my first one. I said, okay, great. So I'm sure there's probably a bunch of folks here, this is their first time to ever watch one of our interviews. If so, once you say so, if this is your first time logging into one of our webinars and one of our interviews, just say, yeah, this is my first time, just to give me an idea how many first timers we have in here. I've been doing these since January, and just to give everybody a quick little history lesson, I joined one of the Facebook groups on Amazon private label selling, and I was like everybody else. I was brand new, asking a lot of questions. There was 3 or 4 of us that started doing these hangouts together, just to ask each other questions. It's like a bunch of dumb people asking each other dumb questions. And after 2 or 3 of those, I thought, well, how about I just invite somebody that actually has been doing this, making money at it, and let me ask them questions, because that's the best way to learn, right? So that's how it started. So there's no hidden agenda. We do these every week. If I can get a guest, there's sometimes I'm going to skip a week or 2 because I just can't find a guest and get them nailed down. And Telex, this is the first time. This is not your first time, Telex. I've seen you in here before. Nova Scotia is a first timer. Argent is a first timer. Telex, you've been in here before. Unless there's 2 Telexes, then that would be a first. But anyway, we've had a lot of successful sellers in here, and it's a front row seat. And if you haven't watched all of these, I think I've probably got, I don't know, 20 guest episodes, about 2 hours each. So you got like 40 hours of content. If you can't watch all of those, it's probably as good as almost any course you can take. It just takes a while to wade through it, and you're not going to get it in a certain order. I do recommend, if you can find a good course, that you might take it. I've taken a couple of courses. In fact, I'm going to leak something here that is kind of a early bird gets the worm information. Dave and Sarah Gilman, the Gill Daddy and Gill Mama. I don't know if you guys saw that episode. Well, I'd asked them how do they learn about private label, and they mentioned this guy that they took a course from, and back at the time, I think it was like around $600 that they spent on the course, and they had, in just a couple of months, they were selling Zach 10 different private label items in just a couple of months. I mean, they ramped up really quick and shocked the heck out of me. I said, really? Tell me more about this guy. And they were telling me about how this guy really knows his stuff, and he's a great teacher, and he's sold millions, and he doesn't mess around. He gets right to the point and shows exactly how to get in there and do it. And they were just following his program. I said, well, I'd like to, sounds like a course I'd like to take. And they said, well, yeah, but he's raised the price. It's $5,000 now. Okay, that sounds like another ASM kind of course. Right now, ASM 6 is launching this week, I see, and it's $49.97. It's $5,000 too. And maybe it's worth it. I don't know. I'd rather pay $600, but the guy had raised his price, and he was a partnership in this thing with a couple other people. Well, come to find out, he had a parting of the ways. I think they raised their price again to $10,000, and he was like not happy about that. Even though he's one of the partners, he didn't really have a say in them making that change. So he split off from this group and decided to relaunch a new course, and he's lowered the price down to $695. I'm jumping in it head first because I know the guy. has some information and teaches things that that I haven't heard anywhere else. I had a discussion with Dave and Sarah off air and learned some of the things that they had taught them. He asked Dave and Sarah to actually work with them on this new program. So it's launching in about a week, and I'm not only going to be a student, but I'm actually going to become an affiliate for it because I really believe that it's worthwhile program based on everything I've learned. And so anybody that is hearing this right now, there's a chance that they're going to be open for a week. And I don't know what that means is whether, I don't know if they get 5 students or 100 students during that week. It's going to be open for a week and that's it. But I'm definitely going to get in no matter what. Okay. How long is the webinar going to go on, Telex? It usually goes for about 2 hours. Where are they located? I don't know. The seminars are good or better than any course out there. Thanks, Robert. Is that Robert Weisberg? Oh, yes, it is Robert. Robert was one of our guests, and he was also on our Who's Who panel. We did a Who's Who and have about 7 or 8 past guests on. He was on. Robert is a no-nonsense seller, and is doing well. All the money's in the shovel business. Anybody know what that means? Do you know what that means, Zach?
Nope.
He's talking about selling shovels. Well, back in the gold rush days in the U.S., when everybody was going out west in their wagons to go stake their claim and find a gold mine and make a lot of money, the ones that made all the money, the ones that sold the picks and the shovels and the Levi jeans to the miners. And so if you were instead of trying to go find the gold yourself, what you did is you sold picks and shovels and wagons and horses and supplies. And so he's basically saying, that's where the money is in the shovel. I don't know if that's necessarily true. It depends on how successful you are at selling your course. All I know is I want to be in the course because I want to learn as much as I possibly can. I know this guy's got stuff. In fact, he's agreed to come on. We're going to do kind of a launch where I'm going to interview him. It's not going to be on a Thursday night because I am going to maintain the integrity of nothing, no cost, nothing sold for these webinars. We're not promoting a course on Thursday nights. I'll do it on a different night, and it won't be the regular night, but I'll definitely be offering the course. And Mike Collins is the guy's name. And what is the name of the course, Giles? I don't even know what the name of it is. I'll have to go look that up. It's 2016 and Beyond is the name of his marketing company. So I think that might be the name of his course. No, Jay, it wasn't created a couple of years ago. It's cutting edge stuff. In fact, if you get in this course, he says that everything that there's going to be updates for life, and anytime Amazon changes, they come in and teach you, hey, here's a new change, here's how you take advantage of it, or here's how you avoid this issue. So looks like it's going to be pretty cool. All right, software, sell the dream, Jonathan says. It's easy money, Jake. I'll let you guys know you'll be getting an email from me. If you register for this webinar, you're on my list unless you unsubscribe. And people unsubscribe every day. I can't figure out why people do that. I guess they don't like me, or maybe they don't like you, Zach. They don't like the guests. All right, let's get on with the webinar. I've vamped too long, and let's start talking private label, how to make money in private label. And one of the things you hooked me on was, you said, hey, I can show people how to get samples for like $10 shipped from China. I'm like, really? That's pretty cool. And then you said, I can also save money on shipping. And it boils down to you're using services out of China. But can you tell us, before we get started on that, can you just give us a quick history of how you got on the online selling, and how did it lead you to where you are today and doing private label?
Okay. Well, I started, like I said, about 7 years ago. I was working for a company that ran an online business. They had a retail store, and they're running an online business where they're selling on Amazon, on eBay, and on their website. And I just went in as, okay, I'll manage your website, and I've sold a bit on eBay and Amazon before, so I can do all that for you. I worked there for about 2 years. And when I left, I just started up my own business. Started in competition pretty much, and sold the exact same items. Well, not the exact same items, but use the exact same suppliers. But that was obviously wholesale, like within the UK. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you'll have wholesalers in the US as well, quite similar. And I've done that just wholesale. I mean, obviously, not touching anything internationally for at least 3-4 years. Um, and I mean, even that was fine. And that wasn't really on Amazon. It was a bit on Amazon, but I didn't. I mean, to be honest, I didn't really get into it at that stage. It was mainly on eBay. So obviously, I done all the fulfillment myself, shipping myself. Um, I mean, and then obviously, I just start importing stock from China. Obviously, at this stage, we're still not into private label. It's just go on Alibaba or any of these Chinese websites, pick up a product and just get it in, start selling it on eBay, and then at that stage now Amazon. Um, and I mean, to be honest, it's just obviously from there. I mean, like I said, it's coming up to about 6-7 years now. At the moment, I've got a retail store. The retail store is mainly for the wholesale side, where obviously I'm still buying from the wholesale suppliers within the UK domestically. But obviously, all the imported stuff that we get in, obviously, we're putting that into our retail store as well.
Okay, so how did you get? I mean, you were doing that. Were you messing around with eBay or other companies as well, or just?
With eBay, yeah. I mean, to be honest, initially I didn't really go with Amazon at all. I was just on eBay. And I mean, that's on eBay. I think I've consistently been on there for that, like I said, 6-7 years. But it's just with Amazon, it's kind of been on and off. I didn't really get into it. Again, obviously, private label sellers, we need to mess around with the reviews and feedback and all the rest of it. So because I was selling wholesale products, it wasn't really worth me going around chasing people for reviews when it's not even really my product. So because of that, I didn't really get into Amazon. It was just eBay where I didn't really have to worry about it.
So Amazon was it like just selling wholesale or retail arbitrage, or you
I
weren't doing
did
private label when you?
no. I mean, to be honest, retail arbitrage. I never actually done retail arbitrage ever. Just because obviously the way I got into it was into it, like I said, with my employer, and it was basically, well, here's a list of wholesalers, go out, buy from them, and then just stick that stock onto eBay and Amazon. But like I said, with Amazon, that was a bit of hard work because of, I had it because of some of the products because they're newly launched from my wholesalers, they didn't have any reviews, and because obviously they didn't have any reviews and they didn't have any, the search ranking was quite poor just because obviously they were new products. So like I said, I mean, mainly that was all on eBay.
So how did you get into, or what caused you to say, I want to take a closer look at Amazon, and how did you get into private label? Because that is a whole horse of another color.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to be honest, obviously I had imported from China before. And then obviously, when you, for example, if you contact a supplier from Alibaba and they ask you, okay, what are your packaging requirements? I just tell them, just as it is in the picture, just how you showed me. I don't necessarily want to, like I said, private label it, white label it. I don't want my own packaging on there. Just all my thing is I just need speed. I just need you to get it to me as soon as possible so I can start selling it. Excuse me.
And so how? Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So like I was saying, I was just importing products as they are and just put them on eBay and then eventually on Amazon as well. But again, these products they didn't have any UPC codes. They didn't have anything that it was obviously much easier to put a wholesale product on Amazon than it was to import something in and then buying a UPC code for it, then putting it on Amazon.
Some people are saying they're having a hard time understanding you, Zach. I don't know if it's your Spitfire Birmingham accent, as Ian says, or else is it your microphone? Are you using a microphone like on your laptop?
Yeah, it's just the integrated one in the laptop. If I move it a bit closer, that might help.
Yeah, that might be it. Yeah. So we'll try. So you, how long have you been doing private label?
Private label, to be honest, I've just been doing private label since February. So private label in terms of obviously putting my label on products. not been that long. Like I said, importing stock just as it is. Then I've been doing that for maybe about 3-4 years. But to put my label on there, that's something obviously that isn't something I'll specialize in, or I've said I've done it for X amount of years, because I've probably just started that in February.
Okay, but since you only started in February, what kind of sales were you doing before you started doing private label? You were doing just basically wholesale products. You're basically just finding a product from a manufacturing company, white labeling it. Pretty much, you're just competing with other sellers in the buy box, I guess. Is that what you were doing?
Yeah, pretty much.
So what kind of sales were you doing with that part of your business before you got in?
That was very competitive. I mean, what I wanted to do was, I wanted less SKUs. I wanted less products. But I mean, for each product, we purchased maybe a few thousand pieces for each product. But we wanted to go for the ones that we knew we could make some profit on. So, yeah, I mean, with that, we were competing with the buy box on Amazon.
So how many SKUs how many SKUs did you have in your portfolio at that point?
From wholesale.
Mm-hmm.
From wholesale, I mean, to be honest, we just picked up at one stage. We start buying everything from the wholesaler. If they've had, if they had introduced 10 new lines, we would have bought maybe one box of each just to try out. So, so eventually, we did start racking up the amount of products we bought from wholesalers. So we were looking at maybe 200-300 different SKUs, 200-300 different types of items. As I said, these are all from wholesalers.
Okay, and then you wanted to get into private label so you could reduce the amount of SKUs, because here's the problem with wholesaling. You're competing with, I mean, you're at the mercy of the manufacturer anyway. I mean, if they change, like you say, they change their line or add a new color or change a variation, or, I mean, you just have to decide if you like it or not. It may help the product, it may not. It may actually hurt the product. And by the way, Rich is wanting to know, has it started yet? I can't see anything. Rich, log out and log back in. That's probably Foxy's saying switch to a better mic. Do you have a microphone that you can plug in somewhere?
I don't. Unfortunately.
You suck, man. You suck as a guest. I'm going to give you a demerit as one of my guests here. Okay, so we'll just have to tough it out. Well, that sounds good. I don't know what that is, but that's awesome. It's squeaky sounding. Okay. By the way, does anybody in the chat room have advice on how you can make it? What kind of, is that a Mac or PC or what?
Yeah, it's just a Windows laptop.
So if anybody knows how to improve the integrated mic, if there's settings for it to maybe change, let's see what. Let me go up here and look at the settings on. Let's see. You may be able to change your settings on the top of the bar up there and make better sense. I'm not sure. Did you I don't know what the play test sound. Okay, there's a setting that says voice, and you can do a drop down that says voice or studio, and I don't know what studio does. And then default, check okay, at the top of the screen, check that, click at that little gear, Zach, and then it says settings, and then on the second drop down, it's the microphone is either default or does it have any options for you on that?
Let's have a look.
Jonathan's saying get closer.
Voice in studio.
Okay.
Let's see what the studio does.
Arjun is saying talk slower. That might help.
What I'll do then is if I just readjust this, I'll just move closer to the mic and it should be fine.
Okay.
Okay, how's that?
That's a little bit better. We may have to get you to slow down, just like Southerners. We start talking to people that are Northerners. We have to get them to slow down too. So anyway, all right. So anyway, we were talking about the difference in wholesale and private label, and that when you're selling wholesale, you're still at somebody else's at their you're 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 at their beck and call. But when you go out and find a private label product that you can source from a manufacturer, you can get it done the way you want it done. You're satisfied with the quality, and you put your own logo on it. Maybe you change the packaging up, make it special, etc. Then you got something that belongs to you. You can actually develop a brand. So when you just started in February, and I like this because we've had a lot of sellers that are like multi-million-dollar sellers, and most of the people on our webinars are not. They're brand new. You're just a little bit ahead of them. Can you tell us how you made that transition from wholesale to picking your first PL product? What was the process you went through?
Well, to be honest, I think with wholesale, I mean, if someone wants to ease into the process, the wholesale is perfect. I can go out to a wholesale cash and carry, they call them here, like a wholesale warehouse, and I can pick up, 10, 20, 50 items and just buy 5 or 10 of each and then come back and see how they sell. I mean, personally, I still do that. I buy wholesale items just to see what they'll sell like, and if they sell quite well, then I import them from China, and then obviously just private label them.
Okay, but your first item, how did you do that?
My first item was a wholesale item that was discontinued. So I had been selling this item previously, selling easily 20 units a day, even with the competition, because it was, like I said, it was from a wholesaler. But my wholesaler decided to discontinue it. So when I got into private label, I thought, okay, first product I need to go for is that one there. So just went out, found it. Here's my design. Here's my AI file. Why don't you just print it on there and send it to me?
So you just found the manufacturer that was already making them, and Alex is asking this question. Jake, can you explain the difference between white label and private label in terms of selling on Amazon? Well, white label indicates that you can just go to the manufacturer and they've got this product sitting on their shelf. A frisbee. Well, that's not a white label. That's actually a branded product. But let's say a silicone spatula. So they've got a bunch of silicone spatulas, and you can just order 1,000 of them or 500 of them and sell them. But if you don't change anything, you're just basically selling it the way it comes off of their shelf. And Zach could go and order those same spatulas and send them and get them sent to the UK. And Robert Weisberg can get a bunch sent down to him in Florida, and we could all be selling that same spatula. And there's not a hair's difference between those spatulas. That would be white label, because you're not really putting any kind of label on it, and they don't have any kind of it's not like it's protected by a patent. Now, if I go in and say, I want you to engrave or emboss or impress my, Jake Robinson's Kitchen Extraordinaire and put it as a logo printed or maybe even embossed, maybe even in the mold where it's every time they make one, my logo's on it. It's part of the actual product. And then I have a nice box or a bubble pack design with my own graphics, specialized graphics, etc. And I put a special box. Then that would be considered my own private label, because they're not going to send that same design to Zach. If Zach called them up and said, hey, can you send me a bunch of Jake Robinson's Extraordinaire kitchenware products? And then, no, that doesn't belong to you. That belongs to him. So it's a private label that nobody else can sell. That's the difference on what the difference to me is selling white label versus private label on Amazon. Okay. All right. So Nick's Nick's saying you're mumbling and rumbling, and he's out of here. All right. Too bad, Nick. You're not going to get to hear how to get $10 samples, right, Zach?
Exactly.
All right. Okay. So tell us how we do that. That was one of the things you like when somebody's trying to launch their private label. What they want to do is they find the product they want to sell. Let's say it's a spatula, and they go online to Alibaba they're looking around, they find a bunch of different manufacturers selling spatulas, and there's different spatulas, and they land on one they really like. Wow, I like the way that looks. I think it's made better, it looks better, but I'm not sure. I need to get a sample of it, and maybe I found 5 different manufacturers or 20 manufacturers that make this exact same looking, spatula, and I want to possibly private label it, but I need to sample it. So I would contact those different manufacturers and ask them about pricing, et cetera. But then I would say, hey, I need a sample. Can you send me one? And they say yes, and they say it'll cost you $85 or $200 or whatever to ship it to you, and they'll send you 1 or 2 or 3 samples, and then you got to do that with 4 or 5 different manufacturers maybe, and it winds up being several $100s that you're going to spend just to get samples. And once you get those samples, you want to inspect them, because what you'll find is even though they look the same on their website, manufacturing A over here, supplier A, has a much better version than supplier B does. It's much higher quality, and then you decide, okay, I'm going to go with supplier A. That's going to be my guy. And then you start making your real order of whatever that is, 200, 500,000 or whatever, and then you may start putting your logo on it. So you were telling me, though, because you're in the UK, that you needed to be able to send some of your products to the US and straight to FBA, because it's just not convenient to have it shipped to you and then shipped over here. And then you also, dangled the carrot and said, yeah, I'll show you how to get samples for $10 sent to you from China. So how do you do that?
Okay, well, like I said, obviously, if you use your example of a spatula, when you search spatula on Alibaba, you obviously ask if you like it, obviously you ask for the price, ask the supplier for the weight and the size, and obviously when you get to the point of, okay, samples, can you send me samples? How much are the samples? You just when they tell you they're $85, as you said, just ask them what that price is for, and they'll tell you that, oh, the actual sample is free, but we're just charging you the freight costs. At that stage, because you've got the size and the weight, you go onto this service that obviously I use, and you put in the same details. So I mean, obviously a spatula won't be this size, but if I say it's a 10 by 10 by 10 centimeters, and it weighs, I don't know, 300 grams, then I can put it and I can say, oh, this is how much it cost it to get it to me in the UK. Then I'll just tell them to ship them over to Shenzhen, where this place is, and that cost will be quite less. I mean, to be honest, I had about 45 kilograms shipped about 1,500 kilometers away, and it only cost me about $25 to, obviously, this just domestically, from say Ningbo to Shanghai. From Ningbo to Shenzhen.
So you're sending 45 kilograms, which, by the way, if you're in the U.S., that's about 100 pounds, 2.2 kilograms per pound.
Yeah.
2.2 pounds per kilogram. So that's about 100 pounds, and you shipped 100 pounds for about $25.
No. Okay, it's not like that. It's that's domestically within, obviously, one side of China to the other side.
Yeah, from Ningbo to
Shenzhen.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just, I mean, that's just apparently how much it costs there. Shipping cost is quite low domestically. So, okay, that's about $20 there. Okay, then I get in touch with this company and say, okay, can you send me, 1 or 2, or can you send me the whole lot? And they can do either. And then if they're sending me 1, for example, it might only cost me, $5, $3, $4, $5, obviously depending on the size and weight.
Okay, so these guys will send it much cheaper to you, but Christiana says, Jake, can you please sum up what Zach is saying about getting samples for $10? If you're going to send these samples from company A to your fulfillment company that you're using, you're not sending. Why did you? I mean, aside from the 100 pound, the 45 kilogram thing that you just sent. You just asked that company to send 1 or 2 or 3 of them, right?
Well, if it's samples, then yeah. Or if it's, to be honest, I don't really get the sample order of, say, can you send me 2 pieces or 5 pieces? I'd rather just buy 20 or 30 of them and then just test them out at the same time.
Okay, so in the way you're looking at it, instead of getting 1 or 2, you get 20 to 30 because they're cheap. How much can you get 20 to 30 shipped from the supplier to your to your fulfillment company in China? What would that usually run at?
That just depends obviously on the supply, because obviously the supply is sending that. Supply is sending it from wherever they are to Shenzhen, where this company is. And then from there, obviously, they take over. They take over in terms of obviously all the shipping, all the consolidation, even. So I can buy a spatula from 5 different suppliers in China, from all over China, and then they'll obviously put it together and then send me the whole lot.
And that's called consolidation for you folks out there. That basically, you could go to 5 different companies, pick and say, send me 5 samples each, five samples of this particular spatula, send it to my fulfillment company somewhere else in China. Probably cost a couple, $2 or $3. I mean, what would it cost to send a kilogram, 1 kilogram weight of something? So your sample weighs a couple of pounds, 1 kilogram, and you send it from Ningbo to Shenzhen, or how much would that?
I mean, well, to be honest, obviously that would be less cost effective than sending, like I said, about 45 kilograms. But I mean, to be honest, I've never done it. I mean, I would imagine it'd be very, very expensive, but I've never done it just because, like I said, what I try to do is try to get at least 10 kilograms in one go, just to make it worthwhile.
Okay, so Ken wants to know, but what is the cost from Shenzhen to the U.S. at that point?
It is, to be honest, it is quite competitive. To be honest with you, I do ask my suppliers, oh, if you can send this item to me, say 100 pieces or 500 pieces, can you send it to me in the UK? Obviously by DHL or FedEx, and I do compare the quotes with like these companies, these fulfillment companies, and they do end up to be cheaper. So then, I mean, if there's just a slight bit of difference in it, then I just tell the supplier, look, this company can get it to me cheaper. Can you find a better price for me? But I mean, if there is a substantial difference, then I just say, you know what to do? Just send it over to Shenzhen, and these guys can handle it.
So basically, what you're doing is you're saying, if my fulfillment company is much less, send it over there. If it's about the same price, you might use that Shenzhen company to beat them down and say, hey, you're charging, let's just say $100.
Just a bit more, yeah.
And Shenzhen can send it for 90. Can you match that price?
Yeah.
And a lot of times they'll do that.
Yeah, they will. I mean, because obviously these prices are available on the website, and they can just go in, put the dimensions in, put the weight in. They can see exactly what I'm seeing.
Okay, so you're using a fulfillment company that has a calculator that you can go in and put your dimensions or size or weight or whatever, and then it'll tell you, here's all the different ways you can ship it, different companies like DHL, FedEx, etc. How many different options do they go through?
There are quite a few. I'd say, I've never really seen any quotes that have had less than 10, 15.
Wow.
It's because I mean, to be honest, even with, like, for example, DHL, it'll probably show the price of DHL within 3 to 4 days, and maybe a slower DHL service of 5 to 10 days. So in terms of quotes, you will get quite a few.
So you'll get, not only will you'll get quotes for fast service and slow service from the same shipper. And then you'll have a range of shippers that all have that, whether it's a overnight versus 2-day versus a week or whatever it may be. Are there customs and duties advantages? Do all of these companies handle customs and duties, or some of them say, well, we're cheaper, but we don't do duty? How do they do that?
Well, I mean, to be honest, for example, with DHL, I mean, I've just had a shipment in from DHL, and I've dealt with them directly for the customs and duties. And they've obviously said, oh, you owe X amount, and I've just paid it on the website. So, I mean, that's obviously via air. Via sea, I can obviously, like I said, excuse me, I can obviously consolidate larger shipments. If I say I want, 500 pieces each, or 2, 3 different products, and the volume is enough to get it in by sea, I can still get them to ship it over to this place in Shenzhen. And they can obviously, then I'd use my freight forwarder to say, okay, I've got this package here. And they've obviously consolidated it all. So now it's, say, I don't know, 2 to 3 cubic meters. So they can obviously handle that part as well.
Okay, so what you're saying is, instead of shipping 1 or 2 items from a couple of different suppliers, if you get them to ship 10 items each, you're taking it. At that point, are you taking advantage of the dimensional weight or the dimensional shipping weight and size. In other words, you could have a featherweight box that weighs like half a pound, but because it's so big, because you're shipping styrofoam pellets, they're going to charge you more than it would. They're not charging you just for the strictly on the weight, because the weight may be very light, but the box may be really big and it takes up a lot of extra space. So is there a minimum amount where you can get, I don't know what, I've heard it's like 45 kilograms or something, where you can get more stuff in a box and you're going to pay the same rate as if you, instead of shipping 5 items, you could ship 15 items, because the extra weight doesn't cost you any extra, because they're going to charge you a flat fee or minimum fee. Does that come into play?
I mean, again, when we get the quotes, and I can obviously, obviously we mentioned offline where I can just share my screen with you, I can just show you quickly. But basically,
Sure.
you can fill it, when you get the results, it'll show you which company or what service uses dimensional weight and which service uses volumetric weight.
Okay.
So you can adjust it to how you like, pretty much.
Yeah, volumetric was the word I guess I was looking for. Yeah, to share your screen, there's a green arrow, the second box from the top. If you go to the left-hand side and hover, there's a green box with a white arrow. You would click on that, and then it's going to ask you to which screen do you want to share.
Yeah. Okay. Let me know if that's worked.
Yeah, I see your Google page.
Okay. Okay. This company is sent from China. So.
By the way, guys, if you want to make this bigger so you can make it see it there, if you will look on the left-hand side there, I think there's a box that's called Webinar Jam, white box with a red thunderbolt on it. If you click on that, it should hide your chat window, and when it does that, it makes the browser or the screen bigger. Other way you can do it is hit Control minus, and what it does, it shrinks the chat window and makes the main window bigger. That will make it easier for you to see what's going on. So SFC is the name of this company.
Okay. Sent from China. They don't make it particularly easy to find that. But if you just scroll all the way down, and they've got a shipping calculator.
Shipping, what is it?
There you go. Under resources, shipping calculator.
Shipping calculator, okay. Dilly's asking, is having a DHL account a prerequisite? Do you have to have a DHL account to ship?
No. I don't. You know, I think if you have your own account, then you're not really making use of this. I mean, these guys,
Right.
they'll have DHL accounts that does a lot of volume, so therefore they've got a really discounted rate. So that's what you really want to use.
Okay, I got you.
One sec. Okay, there we go. So yeah, as you can see, obviously the standard one they're using is they're shipping to is US, but you know you can do this I'm in the UK, but pretty much everywhere.
Okay.
But okay, we leave US for now. So hang on, you gave me some dimensions, didn't you? You said was it a 1 kilogram package?
Yeah, I was just curious. I was just 1 kilogram is 2.2 pounds, so it's a lightweight item.
Okay. So we put in our dimension. So if we say 10 by 20, well, the height's going to make a lot of difference. 10 by 20 by 20. I mean, obviously you can change this as to what your supplier tells you to do.
Can you change it from English to from metric to English or whatever?
I don't think you can.
Okay.
Okay, but yeah, if you check that rate for US.
Okay.
These prices are in Chinese yuan, so
so you got to do a calculation here, huh?
Yeah, so you will need your Google.
So you need to do xe.com, guys. xe.com is a really quick, easy website where you can convert currency, and just click on the XE currency converter, choose Chinese yuan. Let's see if I can find that. I'll do the
So yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, obviously you've got in DHL, you've got this service here that's 2 to 7 days, and you've got obviously several that are in the same. This is DHL, and that's DHL. Got a few FedEx. I mean, this one seems probably the best one because it is an express service to US and Canada. 7 to 10 days, it's saying for well, pretty much 90 yuan. So if you
What
just
is that? What is that tip? I'm trying to find the yuan, the yuan, and
that's okay. That's just
XC. I'm having a
yeah.
problem
That's
finding
$14.
Okay. See, that's not bad. So if they gave you if they gave you the product for free because it's a sample, then you can have it shipped to you in the U.S. somewhere for about $14.
Yeah.
That's killer, really, if you ask me.
And I mean that's obviously based on a
but
1 kilogram weight, whereas obviously a lesser weight, half a kilogram weight will work at less, of course.
but if a spatula weighs less than a pound, you might get you maybe get 10 different samples sent because they don't take up much space, and I don't know if you could get that in the same dimensions, but you can play around the numbers obviously and decide. But it might make more sense to send, let's say you ramp that up to 10 times that amount. I don't know what the size would go to, but your box would have to be bigger, but not much bigger.
Okay, so if you do say, if you just double most of these numbers, so 20 by 30 by 35. Obviously, at this stage, obviously we don't know what the numbers are, so we just put in whatever in. So that's. Have they got the same service? I think that service, excuse me, I think that service is for the smaller products because that express line service to US and Canada seems to have disappeared. So look, for 10 kilograms. And like you said, the volumetric weight, these services up to here, they do volumetric weight, and these couple don't. So you can obviously you can probably get more in here rather than these ones here.
So the ones that say no to volumetric weight, am I going to charge you? You may the ones that don't.
They'll charge you by weight.
So you may be better off with that one then, you think?
It depends. Again, it depends on obviously how they consolidate it or which way they package it. For example, if they consolidate in a way that the package is really high, then obviously you're probably going to be getting more. It's probably going to work out to be more expensive. But it just really depends on the individual order.
Okay, I got you. But still, you just showed us how.
440 yuan. If you just change that over.
Okay.
That's about $70. So that's basically that $70. Like I said, is probably the price that you'd pay for this last one, where it's about $14. That's what you would have paid for the 1 kilo, just over 1 kilo. That's what you'll pay for, like you said, about 10 times as much.
Okay, I got you. So it just depends on what you're doing, but if you do, that gives you a lot of options to play around with. You can probably find the break points where if you get to a certain weight, the price goes up dramatically.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, I got you. All right. So, and what other is this the one you use most of the time, or do you have other fulfillment companies that you use?
This one I use most of. I mean, there's some. I mean, not all of them are tried and tested, but they are definitely some that do exist. I mean, some of them I've heard they actually collect your order as well. So, like I said, they can go from one place to the other and then go and actually collect your order from the factory and bring it over, and then you can say, okay, now you can fulfill our orders for us.
What was that name of that company that I just sent you? That I sent you last night. We were chatting. The one that I found.
Eto, something Eto.
ETO.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to see. Well, it's probably it's going to be in the chat. I'll just pull it up.
I think that's it. Yeah.
I'll see if I can pull it up in the chat. Yeah, there's another service that I found during my research and Facebook group. Somebody mentioned that they do something similar, but I think they were a little bit pricier. But they also do things like give you your own. There it is. They give you your own mailbox, if you want to have your own. So there are membership. There are different membership types and fees. Can you hit Control plus on your keyboard a couple of times? There we
Is that
go.
better? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I just put in the same information,
Yeah, let's see what happens.
US. So see, these guys, obviously they're charging over $100, whereas this didn't work out to be that much
Oh,
at all.
wow. So
Yeah,
that's their premium membership. That doesn't really premium to them means they're making a pretty good markup.
right. And I think, like you said, they've got an annual fee as well, so you obviously pay them yearly. Whereas these guys, you just use them as and when needed.
A la carte. Now, Telex is asking this question: if you don't, where'd it go? If you don't have a DHL account, they still handle customs for you, contact you, and pay upon delivery. Is that right?
Yeah. They'll still contact you, and like you said, you just go on the website, put in your reference number, and just you pay the amount of duties and taxes.
Okay. So once you got your calculator done, and you say, "Oh, that's not a bad price. I want to do that." How do you take advantage of their actual service at this point?
With these guys, you do need to sign up. They've got a sign up button here.
Okay.
You do need to sign up an account with these guys, and from there on, they've got a little system in where you can arrange shipments to from obviously these guys, from SFC to wherever you are, or directly to your customer.
So if out of 10, let's say you went to 10 different manufacturers with some kind of product, and you compared shipping directly from those 10 suppliers versus using SFC, how many times would FSC beat those 10 different manufacturers that you're looking at?
From my personal experience, it's normally been about 8 out of 10.
So it definitely makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, especially, like you said, if you go to 10 different suppliers to get a shipping quote. But I mean, to be honest, especially if you're consolidating, then it'll obviously definitely works out worthwhile.
Okay, I think, Arjun, we answered your question. What is this fulfillment company? It's sendfromchina.com, SFC for short. And what is this place in Shenzhen? I think, Christina, that answers your question as well. It's the name of a company. And how many different companies have you looked at, Zach, besides FSC, that before you landed on these guys is kind of like your favorite,
Okay.
I guess?
Well, I mean, I looked at these guys, and to be honest, I've phoned these guys. I spoke to them over the phone, and to be honest, the English was very well. Was very good, but again, they just seem to be charging a real premium for what they offer, because I think they do, like you said, they do drop shipping, mail forwarding, they do a personal shopper service. So because
Okay.
they obviously offer you a
Well, they do on-site inspection. Click on that on-site inspection a couple down. That might be, maybe that might be a package worth using, where they go on site, inspect your product, inspect the manufacturer. I don't know what they do. Let's see what it says there.
Okay. Because I mean, Send from China, they do that as well. It's just that maybe they've not advertised it, but when you start, chatting to them, they'll, I've had them, for example, personally, I've had them take pictures of my products for me.
Okay.
Just because, like I said, because I'm going to be drop shipping some of these items just to test them out, I have actually said, can you send me a picture? Because obviously I haven't had it.
What about a video? Can you get them to send video?
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty much, whatever you want, they will do it for you. It's obviously, they will tell you up front, this is how much we'll charge you for, a particular service, and then, that you can just carry on.
And Alex is asking this question. In regards to the sample stage, do you use two services? One, consolidating samples to a fulfillment service. Two, fulfillment service to send to the UK. I think you got that mixed up, Alex. I'm going to take a shot at this, and you correct me, Zach. You're not consolidating samples to a fulfillment service. The fulfillment service is taking samples from, say, 2 or 3 or 4 different companies And once they get them all, they put them all in one box. That's the consolidation. They're doing the consolidation and fulfillment service, and then they ship it to either you can answer that question, where they ship it to you in the UK or ship it to the US. Depends on which market you want to put it on, I guess.
Yeah, no, definitely, that's exactly it.
Did you start pursuing using a fulfillment service because you were shipping to the US and it just doesn't make sense for you to receive your goods in the UK, inspect them, then turn around and ship them to the US? That's just cost prohibitive, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to be honest, looking at that, when I ran the numbers, it just didn't make sense for me to, if I get a shipment from China to UK and then I send it to FBA in the US, it just, by that time, I won't really be making any profit on it anyway. So it just didn't work out. So, I mean, I landed on this just by looking at it for a solution for that problem there.
And by doing that, you found that it's just as good a solution to use them to send stuff to the UK.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you send any of the products that you sell in the UK to you first, like we do over here, and inspect it and then send it on to FBA, or do you just have them ship it on straight to FBA?
Well, I mean, to be honest, with the orders that we're making, we're getting an inspection done anyway. So, because obviously it's all gone through the inspection, and then we've paid for it, and then now we're getting it into this place here in Shenzhen. Then I can obviously always get these guys to send me a couple of units to my home address or to my business address.
Okay.
And then I can say, yeah, okay, obviously it's fine. I mean, I'm satisfied. So now you can individually ship out to my customers as well, like in US and in Canada.
But if you're doing, like you're saying, you're testing out a new product, and you say, okay, I want 30 of them instead of 2, because you want to try it out. Do you have them send it straight to you at that point?
No, I mean, I'll still get them sent in here in Shenzhen. I'll pretty much always do that.
Right.
Just
but
because.
Do you have FSC at that point send you the 30 to your house where you can inspect them, and then you turn around and send that 30 into FBA?
No, I don't. I just like I said, I have a few, maybe a maximum 5, sent to my business address in the UK.
Oh, okay. So even if you order 30, you're asking them to split that 30 up, send 25 to FBA, and send 5 to your house.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, my last shipment, I just done that. I ordered 1,000, and I said, you keep 200 and send me 800 over.
Okay, and then what did they keep the 200 for?
That's to drop ship my orders. Like I said, now I can use that product to sell it into the US and into Canada, Australia, Europe, wherever. And once I get the orders coming in, I can get these guys to send out those orders out individually.
All right. Whoa. So you could have them send it out straight from Shenzhen, from SFC to what? Are you selling this through a different channel then? Like eBay?
Then you can sell it on eBay. Then you can sell it on your website. You can sell it on Amazon. I mean, obviously, one thing you need to make sure is Amazon allow this. I mean, I have asked Amazon UK, and they've said that that's fine. You can sell in Europe. You can ship directly from wherever you want. You don't have to ship out from your business address. That's fine. But obviously, with the US, it might be different. So it might be worthwhile if you want to do that with Amazon, just to get their permission to say, you can pretty much drop ship this. When it's not really drop shipping in terms of you're selling it before you've purchased it, but it's drop shipping in terms of these guys have, like I said,
they become your warehouse. They're your warehouse.
Yeah, exactly.
And how long are they willing to hold these? Say you do this 1,000 item order, and you ask them to send 800 to FBA, and they keep 200 at their warehouse. How long will they store that 200, or do they charge you storage fees?
They do charge storage fees, but they are very minimal. I think it's about, in UK pounds, it's about £7.50 a month. So that's, just over $10, $15, $10, $12 maybe a month for one cubic meter. And I just pay that, and then I just pay them their fee to ship out this product.
Okay, Telex is saying, clam down. No, you need to calm down.
Calm.
What are you talking about, calm down, Telex? Okay, ASIM has a great question here. Do they stick Amazon barcode labels on?
They can do. I've never got them to do that. My packaging for the private label products, the packaging will have my SKU printed on there anyway. But
So you
I mean,
get you get the supplier to put the ASIN number on the packaging.
yeah. When I obviously send them my design, they'll already have that on there.
But wait a minute, let's back up though. That sounds like you're already made your decision that this is something you're going to go with long range. If you
Okay,
just
okay.
if you just get their first 30 or 40 pieces to
Hmm.
try out, do you at that point you haven't really private labeled? You're not really going in and putting your logo on. You're just trying to see if
Okay.
these things sell. How do you handle those samples as far as if they're going straight to FBA? You got to make sure they're show ready for Amazon. How do you do that?
Sure. I don't. I mean, in that situation where I'm trying to test out a product, I don't send them to FBA because then I can just use these guys as my fulfillment center, and then they will ship directly to my customer.
But you are selling on Amazon, all right? So
Yeah, yeah,
so you're fulfilling by merchant at this point.
yeah. On Amazon, my listing will say fulfillment by merchant, and it'll give them the customer a particular price. And when those orders come in, I just tell them, Jake lives in this place, and this is where he wants it. He wants, 2 units. Just shipping directly to him.
Okay, and so doesn't that take a lot of extra time? I mean, let's assume that this is a spatula again, and you're trying out the spatula, and you bought 40 of them, and they've got them in their warehouse at FSC, and then I come along, and I'm on the website, I go to Amazon, I put in spatula, and I see yours, and I want to buy it, but it says ships from China 8 to 12. I mean, how many days is it going to be?
Generally, I use a track service that's 7 to 15 days, but obviously the customers were made aware of that initially. So,
Okay, so doesn't that affect sales, wouldn't you think?
no, I mean, to be honest, I don't think it does, personally. I mean,
Bullshit. That's bullshit. I'm sorry.
nah,
I'm
nah.
gonna call bullshit on that because
Okay.
because personally, that's why you think about it, that's why Prime is so important. Is that okay? I'm gonna get my item in 2 days. So if I see item A from supplier A, let's say it's $20, and I can get it in 2 days, and then I see yours on there, and it's $14. I can save $6,
Hmm.
but I'm going to get it in 7 to 15 days. It does make. I'll pay that $20 on something at that price. Now, if there's a huge disparity, like $100 versus $60, I might go for the longer shipping. Now, I'm not
But
saying that you don't make sales. I'm just saying that if you can sell those things with a 7 to 15 day lead time like that, then I'd have to say that's a pretty good indication that they really do sell. Because once you get them on FBA, you should have sold even more.
okay, now if they didn't sell, then no one would be worried about these Chinese sellers hijacking the listings. And the reason why everyone is worried about these Chinese sellers hijacking the listings is because they offer a cheaper price. They definitely do sell. They do take business away from the listing. So, I mean, I understand obviously it's best to do both personally. I use obviously FBA and I use this fulfillment by merchant and I use fulfillment by these guys. Just so it gives the customer the option. Can you wait? I mean, you can get it for almost half the price if you wait, or if you're in a rush for it, then okay, order it through FBA.
So you're saying that there are enough people that will buy it. There's a subgroup of people that are not strictly like David here says. David says, I only buy Prime. Okay, but you're saying there's people that are not like David that will buy. I mean, if people only bought Prime, there wouldn't be fulfilled by merchants anyway. All right, I'm gonna have to call Pierre Michael. This guy's full of it, Jake. Hey, brother, he's actually doing it. I mean, I don't know why you guys. I mean, I'm being a little skeptical because I'm just saying, come on. No, come on, Pierre Michael. He's not lying, okay? Come on, you guys don't be rude, okay? This guy's my guest, and I'm asking questions. I'm going to be tough on him. My job is to be like an investigative reporter, but I'm going to get to the bottom of it. But you sell, right? You sell
Of
stuff
course.
like this all the time, okay?
And like I said, it's not only on Amazon; it's on eBay as well, or my website. So For example, eBay doesn't offer Prime. It's not to say eBay doesn't get sales. Of course it does. So yeah, I can do this on eBay. I can do this on Amazon. I can do this on my website, or any other marketplaces. Etsy, for example, is obviously quite big in the US. So this can work wherever.
Okay, so but let's say you sold this whatever item you've got, this 1,000 items you just offered, you just sent to FBA. Then the 200 you got set on the side. How long will it take you to sell the 200 sitting at the SFE warehouse versus the first 200 you've got on FBA? Which one is going to
What
sell out first?
200 versus 800? You say?
No, no, no. You got 800 items you sent into FBA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then you've got 200 items you set aside over here at SFC.
Yeah.
Now, the 200 items that are SFC sells, and you in the first 200 items that you sell at Amazon through FBA, which one is going to sell out first? The first 200 and FBA?
It depends on the item. If it's something time specific where they, for example, Christmas products, if Christmas is, in a week and they obviously need it quickly, then obviously it's going to be prime. Whereas, if you've got a few months, then I think people will order more from China.
Okay, but I guess what I'm saying is I don't have a problem doing drop shipping. I'm just not going to do it. I don't really care about it. I don't want to do Etsy. I don't want to do eBay. I don't want to do anything else. I just want to. The whole reason that I do private label hangouts is because I like the idea of not having to compete at the buy box, not having to deal with, the cheapest price in eBay, and I don't. That's just a whole different model. I don't want to learn how to play golf at the same time. I want to sell on private label on FBA because I can. I think I can have a better lifestyle. There's nothing wrong with somebody who wants to do eBay. You start out doing eBay. I've had lots of people that because they were experts on eBay first, they don't give it up because they already know how to do it, and it's a skill that they can use, and it's easy for them to list products, and they know certain products will sell better on eBay. But because I'm starting out fresh and I'm new and I don't know nothing, I just want to learn how to do Amazon private label. So I don't take anything away from you from doing that. I'm saying if somebody's out there just starting off as a private label, okay, Paramedic, apologize. I hope that's an apology. Sorry, Jake and Mr. Speaker. Thank you. Your apologies are accepted. But there is something to the fact that if you can sell an item that takes 7 to 15 days to ship and people are buying it, what that tells me is if you send them into FBA, you should sell them even faster.
Yeah,
or you
definitely.
can sell them. That's what it tells me. So
Yeah. There's no reason that. Yeah, exactly. And for that purpose, I can just test it out very easily. I can get in, 20 items, 20 pieces of the same item, put it in, and if they're selling through, for 7 to 15 days, then I can just purchase 500,000 and send them directly to FBA.
So how many out of the 200 that you hold back out of the 800 will sell through FBA? Will all of it do this, or how many are out of the 200? Would you say X amount goes to Etsy or X amount goes to eBay? Not 100% is going to be sold through Amazon, right?
No, not all is going to be sold through Amazon, obviously, because these are the marketplace sellers off.
Okay, what do you think the percentage of your 200 will go through Amazon? 50%, 25%?
I'd say around about 40 to 50. Again, because I only sell on eBay and Amazon. I don't really go anywhere else.
Okay, all right, I got you. So, for people who are in this chat in our webinar tonight that are just really looking to do private label, they don't need to hold back the products at SFC. There's no reason for them to need to do that. They could do it, but they just want to be able to send their full 1,000 of them, let's say, to FBA. But if you're probably not going to do that on the first round. On the first round, you're probably going to get, like you said, 30 or 40 and test it and have them send you 4 or 5 to your home address or your business address and then put the rest in the FBA. And let me ask you this, though. What's the purpose of you getting the 4 or 5 in your hand if you've already bought the other 25? What if you get the 4 or 5 in your hand, you're like, oh, these are crappy. They're not as good as I thought they were. But you already sent in the other 25 or 30 or whatever to FBA. What do you do then?
Well, because a lot of these products, because they stay in China, then I've got a bit more leeway with the suppliers, where I can say, oh, you gave me 25, 40 items. Can I have another 25, please?
No. You're missing my point. You find this item the first time you've ever ordered it. You've never ordered it before, and you're testing it. Yeah. And you order 30 of them, and you say, send me 5 to my business address, send 25 to FBA.
Yeah.
And then you receive the 5 in your hand and you look at it, oh crap, these are poor quality. But you've already got 25 sent in FBA. What do you do then?
But okay, I've never done that. I've never sent an item to FBA just right at the bat. I've never
So
done that.
you have them hold back the 25 and you ship
Yeah,
the 5 first.
yeah. I get 5 into to myself, and I may list it online once if I'm happy with the quality.
Yeah.
So I can ship directly to my customer, and then if I'm happy with it, then I can say, okay, now SFC, you can ship out an order of 500 directly to Amazon.
Okay. So if they suck, though, what do you do with the other 25?
Well, I mean, to be honest, because that's the whole thing. Because obviously I'm dealing in 20s and 25s and 30s. Then it's not a problem. What happens if you pay $100 for a sample and it doesn't work out?
Right. So you're just saying that you're getting you're buying in quantity because it just makes sense. It doesn't cost that much more to do it that way. So if it sucks, though, would you just tell the FSC just to keep it or trash it or what?
Yeah, I mean, I just tell them to if they can use it, or I mean if they can set.
Okay, so you just tell them to ditch it.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. All right. Okay. All right. Let's see what Telex says. Why will people buy from China FBM? Is the FBM listing cheaper? What am I missing? Is that what it is? Are you pricing your FBM prices much less than, say, whatever the Prime?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously it costs less because, for one, I'm not getting it shipped to, like, for example, in UK, I'm not getting it shipped from China to UK, and then from the FBA service in UK, I'm not paying for that fulfillment service to get from FBA center to the customer. So, yeah, so it works out cheaper, much cheaper.
So what you're doing is you're carving down your price to match the net of what you're saving, and you're passing the savings along to the ultimate customer.
Yeah.
And then if you decide you want to go FBA, then you can just have them start shipping it FBA. The main thing that I'm concerned about is I want to be able to see the sample and make sure it's a good quality product. And if it starts selling, I'm like you. How do you know that your Chinese manufacturer is going to have consistent quality, though? Do you always have them, like say this 800 that this 1,000 that you just shipped, how many times have you ordered from that supplier? Is this the first time?
This is my second order with this supplier.
Okay. So are you getting any of that 1,000 units sent to you to double check the quality, or are you just taking it for their word?
No, I am getting it sent to me, but I mean, to be honest, I'm getting it sent to me because I have a retail store and I want to sell some of it in my retail store as well. But also, obviously, I can have an inspection done there, and then obviously they'll satisfy me with the inspection services, giving me a report saying everything's fine.
Okay, all right, I got you. So you're also leaning on FSC to do the inspection that you normally would do if they send it straight to you.
No, I'm using third-party inspection companies who do nothing.
So you're not necessarily using FSC's inspection. Do they have, SFC has inspection?
I think they do offer a service as such, but to be honest, because I get it done by a third party, and because SFC, they're in Shenzhen, if I need an inspection, like 2,000 miles away, then it just doesn't make sense for them to do that.
Okay. So tell us about this third-party inspection company then.
That's just on Alibaba. If you go on, even if you search on Google, Alibaba inspection, if you search Alibaba inspection, you'll get a list of inspection companies where you can select which region in China you want, and then you'll get a price a little bit like how I showed you with SFC, and they'll say this is how much you charge per day, and then just go with that.
Okay, I got you. So, do you have any problem trusting the different inspection companies? Are they pretty much? Are they consistent as well as far as how they do their business?
They are. To be honest with those, they've got thousands of reviews on Alibaba. Because with this, you don't have to worry about anything. It'll say they've got 3,000 reviews or 500 reviews or how many, and it gives them a star rating, a bit like Amazon products. So you can, generally they are quite trustworthy. And to be honest, I'm looking at about $100 a day, and that's fine.
Okay, based on your overall. So, what is your overall sales, if you don't mind me asking?
Overall sales obviously just completely goes up and down, especially because my wholesale and private label, and obviously some items that are just not are in between, where it's almost like arbitraging from China. But I mean, I'd say daily I'm doing about say 100 to 150 orders.
Okay, not bad. Alex is asking Zach. So you say that it's cheaper to buy 30 samples to evaluate a product than just buying 1 or 2 samples. Is that correct? Is that true or?
Yeah, I mean, again, it depends on the price of the actual item, but you can do, like I said, if a sample costs $75 to get two of them, you're spending 150. Whereas, how much do you say 30? If the 30 pieces only cost a few dollars, then yeah, it would work out cheaper to just to buy those 30 and then just test them out that way.
Okay. Now, have you ever done this through AliExpress?
You can. I mean, I haven't, to be honest, personally. I mean, you can do. You can go on AliExpress. You can search for something, and then just ask them, "Oh, how much will it cost you to send this item to Shenzhen?"
All right. Arjun is asking, do you directly ship from SFC to Amazon FBA? I think you said yes on that. Is Amazon the importer of the item? How does that happen? I don't think they are because they're not going to take on that
No,
responsibility.
no. It's because I have to pay the duties. I have to pay, the taxes. So I am the importer, and I'll pay all that upfront, and then it goes over to Amazon.
But SFC takes care of the steps that's necessary to get it from their doorstep to FBA's doorstep. Is that true?
Yeah, yeah. In terms of labeling and all the rest of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, when it gets to the port in the U.S., for example, does SFC have to deal with a freight forwarder to get it from the port to FBA?
From the port to this for sea shipments or air.
I guess air, that would be like a DHL or whatever, and that wouldn't
Yeah.
matter. That DHL will handle that. Let's say it's sea.
Yeah, to be honest with C, what I do personally is I get a freight forwarder, like for example in the UK, and then I say, okay, I've got a shipment coming the from Shenzhen, so I get them to handle everything from when it lands into a local port in the UK, and then I get them to because there's two parts to that. One is obviously getting it from China to UK, and then from UK now they're going to ship it either to me or to Amazon, and I can tell
Right.
them where to ship that to. And by that time, it's all cleared. By that time, it doesn't matter who they're going to ship it to. I just give them an address. Why don't you go ship it to Amazon, or why don't you ship it to my shop?
All right. Telex is asking, can you tell us how do you find products to get samples for?
Product research. Yeah, I mean, I use software. I use Amazsuite. I use Jungle Scout. But obviously, those are for something that I may think, I may want to buy 1,000 plus for. But yeah, how to find products? Yeah, I generally I just use the software to just tell me that.
Okay, so that's the same thing I use. I use Amazsuite Top 100 to tool around and look at the best selling, top 100 and drill down into those subcategories, and then I use Jungle Scout to do my kind of a sales comparison. Which one do you use both of them in
Yeah,
conjunction? Do
yeah.
you always use both, or is there times where you just use one and you find something and you don't need to check it out? I mean, a lot of people are starting to use Jungle Scout and they see the sales and they don't really need anything else. Do you ever do it that way, or do you double check it with Amazsuite?
No, I mean, to be honest, Amazsuite, to be honest, personally, it's generally just to find the item, just to find the search term. Like I said, a spatula on Amazsuite, the search term I'm looking for is spatula. Whereas in Jungle Scout, I'm putting that into Amazon. I'm running Jungle Scout to see the sales, to see the competition, and just to see the depth.
Okay, and so when you're using Jungle Scout, for example, do you play around with the keywords to see what comes up? Because I've found that sometimes that a whole different set of sellers shows up when you change the keywords.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, like I said, it's all about keyword. It's not really. I hardly ever run Jungle Scout on a product. I generally just use it on a search. When you search on Amazon, I'd run it there rather than on the product itself.
Okay. Okay, so Telex saying it's not lying, it's about making sense. It is confusing so far. Maybe summarize, Jake. Okay, let's see if I can summarize. You've got a company sitting in Shenzhen, and all they do is help you get your product shipped to you and save you money. So you're out there doing your research. Maybe you're using Amasuite / Jungle Scout. You find something you like. You think it's got good low competition. You think it's got enough sales. So then you go out on Alibaba and you start looking for suppliers. You find 3 or 4, 5, 10 suppliers. You want samples. So you contact the suppliers themselves and you say, I want a few samples, but you don't have them send it to you in the U.S. or the U.K. or wherever you live. You have them send it to SFC, Shenzhen. And do you SFC takes care of that, or do you have to arrange that?
You do need to ask the supplier how much it will cost to send to Shenzhen. Obviously, the closer they are, then that's going to vary the price.
Does it matter? You don't say to this exact address? You say how much does it cost to send to Shenzhen, or do you give them a specific address?
Sometimes they do want whereabouts in Shenzhen they're located, but generally they'll be able to give me a rough figure. And like I said, that cost isn't much anyway.
Okay, so once you figure out that it's worthwhile to send from factories A, B, C, D, and E, you have them send it over to Shenzhen to SFC. That's your fulfillment center. Mm-hmm. And their job is to package it up, maybe in one box, maybe not, but if it's a small number of samples, they can get it in one box. Then they turn around and ship it straight to FBA or send it to you.
Yeah, if it's a low number to me.
If samples come to you, you look at them, and then you can turn around and if you wanted to, send them to FBA. Or you could say, these suck, I'm not even going to try to sell them, and move on to your next item. But if you decide you like them, then you may turn around and order 100 or 200 or 5 or whatever the MOQ is.
Yeah, then make another order, go through the whole, obviously, ordering process, and then, again, I'm still going to send to SFC. The only difference is I'm either getting them to dropship the item, or if it's a bulk order that I want myself to send to Amazon, then I get them to ship out directly to Amazon or directly to Amazon, basically.
So you get them to send. So once you've got your own small sample order sent to you, and you've poked it and tested it, and you've asked your friends to take a look at it and whatever, and you think you like it, then you can go back to your manufacturer and say, "What's your MOQ?" and say, "What's 1,000?" or "I will sell you 2,000 at this price." You order the 2,000 and because most of you guys are not going to be drop shipping, you have all 2,000. You have them inspected. You have your third-party inspection company inspect them, make sure that they're good to go. Then you take the 2,000 and say, send it to FBA. And then SFC, the fulfillment company, will arrange to ship it straight into the U.S. And I'm assuming that if it's air shipment, they're choosing one of those overnight air, no matter who you use, I guess DHL, I'm assuming FedEx and even UPS. I'm sure most of those companies that you're looking at, whichever one you choose, they're going to do the duties and the whatever, and you're going to pay that company directly. Do you pay DHL? Okay.
Yeah.
DHL, when do they have you pay that?
For DHL, it's when it lands in the country. I mean, with UPS, I've had it as late as, for example, I was expecting a UPS delivery just a couple of weeks ago, and they said when the driver comes in with your cargo, with your stock, then just pay him cash if you want to.
Huh. Okay. And so, does that help you guys out? Is that what you're getting at? And so, once you have your product inspected, then you tell SFC, hey, I want this sent in to FBA. And some of you may want to go ahead and have it sent directly to your home. We have super duper cheap shipping from my home to FBA. Yeah. And I may want to take the first shipment of 1,000 and look at 10 or 15 or 20 of them, and then turn around and send them in the FBA. But once you get to the point where you can trust a third party inspector, and they're doing a good job, maybe they're taking photographs, maybe even video if you request that, and putting it through the ringer, and they say yes, it's what you thought it was, then the products go straight into FBA. But you do need to get with the manufacturer at that point and provide them with the proper labeling that has the ASIN number and that sort of thing, done at the manufacturer. Is that true?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said, I mean, to be honest, I hardly ever get it shipped directly from SFC directly to FBA, just because I use it in my retail store. But when so I have it sent to me most of the time. But if it's a product that I think won't sell in my retail store, I'll just send it directly to FBA.
Okay. Um, all right. So let's see here. Telex is asking, do you do C shipping from SFC? Can you explain the process from SF? Okay, we just did that. All right. Um, okay, Stacy's asking, how good is FSC customer support? Are they responsive to small customers?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say so. I mean, to be honest, you can add them on Skype and just chat to them through there. I mean, I've obviously called them or spoken over the phone. I mean, the verbal English is quite good. I mean, generally, I haven't really had any problems for them to, to really be tested. But yeah, from what I've seen, they're fine.
Okay, let's see here. Okay, that's a pretty good one. Can you address packaging? What about packaging? Do they put out your product inside the box for you? How does all of that stuff work?
They do. They do put it in a box for you, but they do charge you for that. Unlike obviously Amazon don't. But I mean, the packaging, especially in China, is just so cheap that depending on how big your item is, you'll be paying pennies for it.
Yeah, but go into more about the design of the packaging. How do you get that done?
So they'll ask you, you want it in a cardboard box? Do you want it in like a clear bag, or what type of packaging you want? And they'll obviously give you all that pricing. Say, this is this is what's on offer, and then you just choose the right appropriate packaging for the product.
Okay, let's see. I'm trying to go through these questions here. Telex is asking, do you have an LLC or individual seller US account?
Okay, well, I mean, I'm in the UK, but yeah, it's on my Amazon account is my limited company, so that's the equivalent of the LLC.
So as long as you have that in the UK, you can use that in the US?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, with UK and US is quite straightforward. I mean, with other countries it may not be, but at least UK to US is quite straightforward.
So this is the same question that Arjun's asking. You have a UK limited, is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's limited.
Okay, all right, gotcha. Okay, all right. Let's see. Okay, back to research. Alex is asking, so which one to use first, Amasuite or Jungle Scout, and why?
I use Amazfree. I know Jungle Scout's got a web app, and to be honest, I haven't really looked much into it, but I'm assuming it does what Amazfree does, where you can say I want X amount of reviews, or I want such and such sale rank. And like I said, because the web app for Jungle Scout is quite new, I haven't really used it. But in place for that, I use Amazfree, where I put in my products and filter them out. I want reviews I want products that have less than 75 reviews. Just show me those. I want them in such and such category, and I want such and such pricing, between such and such pricing brackets. Once I've got those, then I run Amazfree on the search term, not the actual product, the search term. Like I said, for a spatula, I'll search on Amazon for a spatula, I'll run Amazfree, and then I'll make my decision if it's something I want to go into or not.
And so at that point, do you switch over to Jungle Scout or not?
Yeah, that's all Jungle Scout. Once it's on Amazon, once I've looked at the search term, then it's all Jungle Scout.
Okay, so it's all about getting the search term right, and then Jungle Scout helps you ferret out all the different types of, it can be multiple categories. Do you switch that up? In other words, if you're looking at a spatula, it could be under kitchen, it could be under cooking, or it could be under something else. It could be listed in a couple of different. How do you sort out where a product might be that you need to double check?
To be honest, I don't look at the category. I look at the search term, because ultimately that's how the customer's going to find your product. Because if someone wants a spatula, I don't think personally they'll go through the home and kitchen, and then spatulas. I don't think they'll go that way. They'll just search for the spatula. So that's what I look at. That's that's where I run the Jungle Scout.
Okay. And Paul's asking, which prep companies would you recommend, if any? I guess FSC is not really a prep company, but they do. I mean, some people have, there's like FBA prep companies out there. What's the difference in an FBA prep company and what SFC does?
Prep companies, as far as I know, they obviously label the, put the codes on there, the FBA labels on there, and just obviously put it in a way that Amazon wants it to. You can do the same as SFC. I mean, there's no reason why they won't do it for you. I mean, they have done for me in the past. But I mean,
generally they're generally located where which country you're selling in. So your product comes from China, goes to the prep service in the U.S., and then they send it from their prep service location into FBA. So it's kind of like coming to you, or it comes to them instead. Whereas FSC is catching it before it even leaves China.
Yeah, exactly. So if I want half of it in FBA UK and half in FBA US, then they can do that for me.
Okay. All right. David says here, I would like to step-by-step walkthrough of how to find suppliers on Alibaba. Do you have a step-by-step process on that?
On Alibaba, I mean, you need to, it's all about search terms. You put in the right search term, you will find the product.
That is something that's interesting, though. On Alibaba, because they're manufacturers, a lot of times they have these industrial search terms that don't have anything to do with what, you know what I'm saying? They may call it a two compartment food container, storage container, and maybe they're calling, in Japan they call it a bento box.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
how do you source that?
Yeah.
How do you figure out how to find the right search term on Alibaba?
Well, I mean, to be honest, you just need something. I mean, if you find the same product, but it's not. I mean, it's just priced way higher. Then even that's fine. What I normally do is I search by image. If the supplier hasn't got a watermark on the image, you can in Chrome anyway. You can right click and say search Google for this image, and then it'll search Google everywhere, even if it's in Chinese. And I've had that of like Chinese websites like 1688. I've had my product come in on those type of websites where it says, oh, this product is much cheaper than it was on Alibaba. And so I found some suppliers that way.
Okay, so I was just about to say that. I was about to say it would be cool if Alibaba had a reverse image search where you could put the image in and let them find it, but I guess you can let Google do that work. Okay, and then his second part of his question, how do you communicate with them and get them supply a sample cheaply? We've talked about, that you can get samples sent cheaply. Most of the time they'll give you the samples for free or very low cost, but how do you communicate with the suppliers when you're first contacting them?
In terms of the method I use, or just generally?
Method, and also what do you normally say to them? Method might be Skype or email, or use their little.
Sure.
What method, and then what do you normally say to them? How does that exchange usually shake out?
I just use a template, and template is obviously quite simple. I'm Zach from X company. We want to add your product to our range of products. I mean, to be honest, I mean that's obviously that sort of template is more for an email. But I mean, if I'm chatting to them, I just generally just tell them that look, we want.
Well, that is my question though. Do you spend more time sending them emails, or do you find yourself just communicating them with through their little chat feature?
I generally tend to use chat more. I mean, obviously, a lot of people they email a lot more. But I mean, to be honest with me, because I'm testing out loads of different products, then it's just easier for me to get an instant response and just get them to send them out, and just to get the high turnover of testing going.
Okay, I'm Jake Zing in China right now. I'm sitting there and I see your message come in. What does your message say to me? The first communication. It's a spatula. I've got a spatula that you're interested in.
Okay, so I'll say to you, hello Jake, I'm Zach from the UK, and I represent such and such company. We want some spatulas to add to our range. What's your price?
We have many spatulas. What would you like first?
Okay, yeah, I mean, obviously we've gone past that. I've showed you. Okay, here's a link. Here's your listing. This we're all.
Okay. How many would you like to buy?
Okay. How
They
many do you
normally
get in a
do
20-foot
they,
container?
now, do they do that? Do they, instead of giving you the price, do they start asking you how many you want,
Yeah,
or
no, yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, personally, I mean, initially, that very first moment, I try to get the best price possible, even if I'm ordering less. I mean, I mean, obviously, different people have different methods, but I take on that very first price that they give me, I want that to be as low as possible, and that'll set the tone for everything else. So I'll say, how many can you get in a 20-foot container? And regardless of what price they give me, I'll say, okay, can we just test out 500 pieces, 1,000 pieces, and then just take it from there.
all right? Now, Robert has um, an interesting take. He says, I get samples from China all the time. The sellers are tired of all these novice sellers. Cheap is relative. It can cost $50 shipping. It costs, if you're serious business, it's just part of your business expense. In other words, as long as you can make a margin on it, it's the item plus the shipping is the total cost, and if your total cost is at a point where you can sell it with a markup, you're okay. But is he right
Yeah,
about that? As far
yeah,
as
no,
all these
definitely.
people flooding out of these courses, and they're all jumping on there, getting on the chat saying, "What is your price?" Do you find that they that because you're asking for the price right out of the gate, that you're missing the opportunity to develop the relationship, or is there a need to
Yeah, there
to
is, there
present
is.
yourself as a company?
Yeah, no, I think there definitely is. I mean, like you said, it's all about experience, and obviously you mentioned novice importers and whatnot. I mean, to be honest with me, I just if you've got a good eye to find a good product, and then you can initially say, okay, you know what, I'll pay $50 for that sample, or $75, $100 for that sample, just because you've got a good eye to see that is a good product, so you can just get it in quickly, and then you can obviously import it in thousands. However, personally with me, I try to test the market out first. So therefore, I have to jump through these hoops just to say, okay, I'll have a few of you first. But like I said, for someone who's experienced, someone who knows the market they're going into, then yeah, definitely just spend the $50 or $100, how much it is, and just get on with it.
Okay. Let's see here. So David, again, going back, I've tried. He says, you know, how to get them chip. I've tried this a few times and had poor results. I've used tips and ideas from others, but actually putting them in practice is difficult. So I guess communicating with Alibaba suppliers, he's just hadn't had the luck or the skill to. I mean, when you first started contacting suppliers for private label versus how you contact them now, did you see an evolution of how you communicated with them? Have you figured out that there's certain things you should say or not say?
Um, Well, to be honest, obviously your past guests. I mean, some obviously have just specialized just in China, so they've got some very good tips. But I mean, personally, like I said, what I try to do is try to get the best price they can. Right, that's the very first price they're going to give you. Because, for example, if they say to me, if you order a container of these spatulas and they'll cost you 50 cents each, even if I order 500, we have really started from 50 cents. Okay, they're not 50 cents anymore. They may even be
Right,
a dollar. They may be a dollar 50.
right.
But that price is better to go from, say, if I had just asked them how much is 500, they might say, they're $3, $4. So I just like to do it that way around.
But isn't there a risk that when you ask for a container, they get excited about that, and then when you say, "Well, I only need 500," like, "Oh crap, you're just pulling my leg. You're not serious."
Yeah, no, I mean there is, and to be honest, I just if they're happy with the 500, I just tell them that if it is a good product and if it is if it does work in the market, then we will order that container. And to be honest, I do. I mean, I don't necessarily say a container, but I say if they tell me they get, for example, 10,000 pieces in a container, I'll say okay, I'll get up to maybe 5,000 pieces within as I grow with a supplier. So I am kind of lying to them in a sense, but I'm not, I'm not telling them, I'm going to order 10 times as much, you know, it's maybe half.
Well, do you break it down by pallets? Like if there's 10 pallets in a container, you can say, "Well, how much can you price me out at 6 pallets or 4 pallets?" That way, you don't have to go for a full container.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah. It's just
I don't know
like I
that
said.
I don't know that you're lying when you do that. I would say that you are having them on just a bit because I know if the price is right and they sell like crazy, you might you might have a container ship. Have you ever had a container shipped?
No, not. I mean, I've had a not a full container ship. I've had obviously LCL.
Okay, so if you're getting all these different, so you get a bunch of, I mean, you've only been doing this since February, so you know it's not like you've had a lot of time to build up sales to the point where you can buy by the container full. But could you see yourself if you had like, say, 10 different SKUs, 10 different items, and can you get SFC to coordinate? Okay, I'm going to buy all these different items at one time to fill one container.
That is obviously one of the advantages of using companies like these. Just because all you really tell SFC is to put them in a box, put the boxes in the best shape possible to fill a container. But SFC is not really a freight forwarder. I mean, you get my UK freight forwarder to coordinate, obviously getting that into a container.
So really, it'd be a freight forwarder best to do that job, not SFC.
No, but SFC do play a vital role in that, whereas because if I don't get these small orders, they wouldn't even fill a tenth of the container. But by getting them to consolidate there, then I can get the freight forwarder to say, okay, now you've purchased 3 cubic feet from us, so 3 cubic meters from us.
Okay. Nova Scotia Picker says we are located in Canada. How will this affect us for buying, or does it?
I don't think it does. I mean, Canada, would that be sold on Amazon Canada or Amazon like US, for example?
I don't know. Probably, I would imagine they're asking about Canada themselves. Canada has their own market, so I would think that it would still benefit them, right? I mean, I'm in the U.S. I don't know it'd be any different. Canada's not that much different from the U.S.
Sure. No, yeah, I don't think it will. I mean, even if you're obviously that's the beauty of FBA and or the beauty of using a fulfillment service where you don't even have to be in a country that has an Amazon, has an Amazon site, and then you can just go in and still sell on, Amazon US or UK or wherever you're.
Okay. Brad saying, are you doing this for your own private label products listings or selling products on other listings that you don't control? Like wholesale, I guess. Are you only doing this FBA or doing FBM? I think we've answered most of these pros and cons for each of these tactics. Well, you're doing private label, but you're also still doing some wholesale, right?
Yeah, wholesale, and like I said, even wholesale from China.
Right to your actually selling to retail through your retail store. You still have do you own that store? Is that yours?
No, we rent it.
Well, I mean, it's your business.
Yeah, it is my business.
Okay. So what do you guys sell there?
We sell housewares. We sell soft furnishings. Yeah.
Yeah, I find that in the UK that almost all you don't have as many variety stores. You have a lot of specialist shops there, right? A lot of shopkeepers that specialize in different items. It drove me crazy when I lived there because if I wanted something, I got to drive across town. I like to go to Walmart where everything's there. All right, I know I'm just picking at you. And then FBA and FBM, we talked about both of those. Okay, let's see. Jahaj, how do we get sample sent for $10? We've answered that. And the reason I'm doing this, guys, is that these are some of the questions that came in through the survey. If you fill out the thank you survey, I just want to acknowledge to them that I did see their question. I'm not blowing them off. So Kathy is asking, I'm not doing private label. Can I do the same thing for shipping from China if I'm not doing private label?
Yeah, I mean, you can go on, for example, Alibaba Wholesale, pick out a product and say, send it to SFC, and then just do the same thing. Ship it, get it shipped to FBA, get it shipped to yourself, or get them to fulfill, like I said, the drop shipping orders. And you can do that. You don't have to do private label with this sort of thing.
Okay, so Kathy, by the way, are you in the room? I think I see your name, but I don't know if you're the same Kathy. This is Kathy's first time, I think. She answered the survey. How can we improve the webmaster? I don't have a clue. I've never been to one yet. So now that you've been to one, you can tell me how to get better at it, Kathy. Okay, let's see. Pam, how do you ensure the quality of your items without having them shipped to you first? We've covered that. We do that through a third-party inspection company. How quickly do you go from identifying a product to getting it getting it for sale on Amazon? Good question.
Well, I mean, I can go on, like I said, I can go on Alibaba Wholesale, and without even looking at the product, I can say, okay, I'll throw $100 at this product and get it just buy it on Alibaba Wholesale and get shipped to sent from China, and then just try out that way. So it can be you
Alibaba
can.
Wholesale. What is Alibaba Wholesale? Is that different than just Alibaba or AliExpress? Is that a different division?
Yeah, yeah, that's where you don't have to worry about payment methods. If you're doing GT, if you're doing PayPal, it's just they've got their own payment method, and you've got Alibaba's protection as well if the product's not very good.
So what's the difference in Alibaba Wholesale and AliExpress then?
Not too much. I mean, AliExpress is more for obviously one-piece orders, maybe. I mean, I've ordered from AliExpress just one
So does
item.
Alibaba Wholesale have kind of like a minimum, like 50, or I mean, is there a minimum
Well,
order?
some of those minimums are ones. So
Okay.
I mean, some minimums are thousands even. So it just depends on the item.
See, I just learned something new. I didn't know there was an Alibaba Wholesale. I guess I need to check that out and see what it's up to. But so again, how quick could that be? How many days or weeks
It
would
would
that?
be. I mean, to be honest, we've just come out obviously a Chinese holiday, which lasted about a week. But I mean, generally, I mean, like I said, if I don't want to do any, if I don't want to get inspected, I don't want to, do anything. For example, if I've got the protection of Alibaba through Alibaba Wholesale, then I can say, okay, here's $100. I'll have the 100 pieces or whatever it is. Why don't you send it to ship from China? Send from China, and then I can just list it on Amazon or eBay or where I'm gonna sell it,
But
and then
Amazon. Let's
just
stick with Amazon.
okay, let's stick with Amazon. Yeah, so I can list it on Amazon and get them to fulfill the order. So literally, I mean, can be a few days even. I mean,
Okay.
just
Now, assuming we want this FBA, and assuming we do want to use a third-party inspector, how fast could you get a product that you found? You found a product. You're ready. You think you want to do this, so you want to get the product shipped, inspected, and put in the FBA in the U.S. How long would that typically take?
okay, you found the product on, for example, Alibaba, and obviously you've paid the 30% upfront. You paid 30% upfront. You're getting the inspection company in to do do their thing, and once you've made the payment, once obviously you've covered the lead time, then it's really just about getting it shipped to wherever the factory is to send from China in Shenzhen. If they're quite local, I mean, I've had it delivered the next day even. I've had it.
Okay. So there's a lead time from the time you say, okay, here's my 30%. It may be a week or 2 weeks lead time to get it created, so manufactured, and then they ship it to Shenzhen, which could be a day or two or three.
Yeah,
What? And then from there, it's going to be from there to I guess DHL or whatever.
yeah, whichever shipping
That's going to
company
be
you
another.
use.
That's going to be another 3 or 4 or 5 days. Is that right? So it
Yeah,
could be. There could be. It still could probably be a month by the time you run through all those numbers. 3 weeks. I mean, you're not going to get much quicker than 3 weeks, are you? If you do the full ride.
yeah, and especially obviously especially if you're doing it by sea, then you're waiting at least a couple of
Oh yeah,
months.
yeah. No, I don't mean see. Yeah, we're just talking about you pick the product, you pay for it, send it to Shenzhen, or you get it inspected, you get it to Shenzhen, and then they get it to FBA. All of that could probably take 3 weeks, or maybe it could be a little bit faster than that. And you're saying that the third party inspection is usually like $100. Is that like $100 for a man day or whatever they call it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and again, depending on the size of the order, you might get through it in a day, or it might take a bit longer. Obviously, it depends on the
Okay.
items as well. Yeah, so
Do they inspect every single item?
you can do a random check, or you can get them to go through the whole lot. So then
What do you
obviously that'll
normally
take
do?
much longer. My products are normally quite cheap, so I just say, do some random checks, and that's fine.
Okay. Now, do you ever do a top of run inspection? A
Um,
top of run would be you've got your samples, you like it, you're going to order 1,000, and then before they actually make the 1,000, they give you what they call a top of run, and in other words, a second inspection.
yeah.
It's an inspection before
Personally, I
they.
don't.
Okay.
I don't do that. I just pay for one inspection, and
Okay.
and to be honest, maybe I should do two, but so far I've not really had any problems.
Angie wants to know what's the difference working with a Chinese supplier trading company versus a manufacturer. What are some key questions I need to ask them not already provided by Alibaba?
Well, I mean, a lot of a lot of the guys on Alibaba are trading companies. The manufacturer, obviously, you're looking at a higher quantity, more the quantity. I mean, with the manufacturers, I haven't really dealt with many actual manufacturers. I don't think, because again, they may say, oh, we're the manufacturer of this item, but they're really not. But I mean, really, you want to see around the factory, get some pictures in, get some, get some information about the company.
By the way, Richard, FSC, it's actually SFC,
Yeah.
sendfromchina.com. It's an aggregator site basically that just helps you pick the best shipper, and they help put your package together. So what do you look for when you're having them take photographs of through the factory? Are you looking for cleanliness? Are you looking for, what do you look for?
Just organization. I mean, to be honest, if they look quite organized and they seem to know what they're sort of doing, whereas if you've got boxes laying on top of each other and then just falling out, obviously that's something you don't want to be, you don't want to see. But I mean, you just want to see if everything's in its place.
All right, and I think we've already answered your question, Angie. I'm really interested in consolidation of samples. Do the samples all need to be the same vicinity in China? Is that necessary?
No, you can get it shipped from, like, these guys are in Shenzhen, which is obviously south. You can get it shipped from wherever you want. You can Beijing or
Okay.
wherever, and
So they don't have to be there. And if your manufacturer charges you for the domestic shipment, what kind of rate should you expect? We've already talked about that. They're a lot less to go from one part of China to the other. And then SFC can tend to find better rates than most other people anyway. Um, let's see. And Arjun is asking, do you pay tax in the U.S. or UK for sales in the USA?
I'll pay my taxes at the end of the tax year in the UK because my company's in the UK.
And do you get,
That
like a treaty that the first 100,000 or something you earn in the U.S. is tax free, or 90,000? Is that right?
To be honest, I haven't been selling on the US very long,
Okay.
so I
You need
haven't
to
really
check
reached
that.
that stage.
Yeah, I think there's a treaty between when I lived in the UK, the first 90,000 US that we earned was tax free. And
Okay.
then after that, yeah, something like that. It may have changed. I mean, that was back in 2003 through 2006. So anything could have changed. I mean, heck, when I was there, VAT was 15%. Now it's 20, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that sucks. Okay. Let's see. MLM is asking, how many samples should you get from each supplier? Can you negotiate uh, air delivery cost? How to negotiate sample pricing? Well, you've already talked about how to do that. Basically, you don't have to negotiate sample price. Well, I guess you do, because if you're just getting true samples, one or two or three, they say, oh, it's free, but we're going to charge you shipping. But if you say, oh, I want you to ship 30 of them over here to Shenzhen,
That's more of an order. Yeah.
that's more of an order, and then they're probably going to base that based on what you've been talking about earlier, about whether you ask for a container full or 500
Yeah.
or if you, okay, gotcha. I think we got that. When getting samples, should you test suppliers' standard product or your customized product specs? So what he's asking is, you've got this typical off-the-shelf product, but you might want to juice it up with better quality material or change something on it. Do you ever create customized products by asking them to change the materials or use better materials or thicker materials? Or
I haven't really done that. I mean, one thing I have done is, I mean, obviously it doesn't affect the product at all, is the packaging. If I see a competitor's packaging, I can obviously make my packaging in terms of, like, the poly bag. If it's in a bag, I can ask them to put it in a thicker bag, just so it'll just be a bit better. It's better quality. It's a bit more durable. Um,
now, have you ever messed with like some really premium cardboard, embossed, or you know what I'm talking
no,
about?
no, I haven't really done that. It's mainly the plastics and how thick the plastic is. If I want a better quality plastic on there.
Yeah. All right. Kay's asking, how do you negotiate a sample quantities, i.e. strategies, what to say? I think we talked about that. I'm running up against minimum orders of 1,000, 3,000 when I can only order 250 to 500 at this time. What should be the best way around this challenge? Ordering the same items from AliExpress is cost prohibitive. Well, I'm going to say, Kay, that if their MOQ is 1,000 to 3,000, what you typically might want to do is just say, I definitely want to be ordering 1,000 or 3,000, whatever the MOQ is. But right now, I really need to know if your product is going to sell in my distribution chain, and I really need about 100 to 200 items to test out and make sure that this product is going to sell. Because if it does sell, I'm definitely coming back in a quick time frame and order the 3,000 MOQ. That's how you do it. They just want to know that they're not wasting time on you for 100 or 200. Would you say that's about, or would you suggest some other method?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I just tell them that I want to test it out. Obviously, I tell them I have the retail store and tell them I'm selling online as well. Obviously, some suppliers, especially the factories and manufacturers, they don't like it if you're just selling online. But I tell them, look, I do have a retail store and I want to test it out for my retail store. I want to, I want to give it out to some of my customers for free, even. Because I mean, obviously, with private label and obviously now, if we're going to launch process, I use my retail store to launch my products where I can give out products in my retail store just to get more people in. So I'll get the reviews in and I'll get the obviously people into my retail store as well.
So I guess we can't use that method unless we all run out and open up a retail store. All right, Kelly's also asking, I think I'm in the wrong category. I took advice from someone and I now realize I shouldn't have. Well, you can change the category or you can add a second category for each item, right? You can have up to 2 different nodes or 2 different categories per item. So Kelly should consider either adding a second category that you think it should be in, or you can change category. But I don't know, if you change category, do you lose listing juice? Are you like starting over if you change categories? Robert, do you know anything about that?
Is that category in terms of niche, as in is she in a competitive market, or is that category in terms of Amazon category?
I think it's Amazon category. I'm going to say it's Amazon category. And if it's not, Kelly, if you're in the room, let us know if it's not. But if it is Amazon category, I mean, sometimes even Amazon will miscategorize your item and stuff it into something else based on some listing terms you put in there. I've heard of that happening. And you have to get it, unwind that and get them to fix it. But their robot does that. So you can change. And I know if you go back and watch Helen Edwards, a.k.a. Michael Dudley, he talks about how he figures out a way to change the categories where nobody else can list the similar product in the same category. He basically has a category to himself. He's figured out a way to do that. It's pretty cool. So, yeah, you can change categories. But before I change categories, I would figure out, Kelly, what category you think it should be in, and then ask them to add that item as a second category. And you're allowed to have up to 2 unless they've changed it. I think that's the way it still is. Robert says, depending on the item, you can move the node, and that's what they call it, nodes. Let's see. Next. Kelly, how to deal with customs, how to negotiate. Do you have to deal with customs? And you can't, as far as customs go, anytime you ship air, your shipper handles that for you, right?
Yeah.
Are there any air shippers that don't handle it?
Not that I've come across. Yeah.
If it's shipping by sea, then you do have to deal with customs, but you would have a freight forwarder at that point, right?
Yeah, I mean, in the UK, it's called. Yeah, I mean, if you're dealing with yourself, it'll just cost you way more than just to pay a freight forwarder to deal with it.
And they know what they're doing, and you're going to screw it up. so you should have a freight forwarder do it. And when you have a freight forwarder do the work, how do they charge you? Is it a percentage of the value? Is it a flat fee? How does that normally work?
For the customs or for the overall
freight forwarding?
They charge me per cubic meter, so they can say our minimum is 2 cubic meter, and therefore, like for example, my quote is £235. So I'll pay them that, and I'll fill up that amount of space. And when it gets here, I'll pay them an extra £15 to deal with the customs, to do obviously exactly that. And they'll obviously just pay off on my behalf, and I'll just pay them whatever the customs work out to be.
So you're looking around £250 sterling for 3 cubic, 2 cubic.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So it works out to X amount per cubic foot, or is it feet or
meters?
So meters. Okay, gotcha. All right, I hope that helps. Cadra says affordable logo designs, package designs. You kind of hate on that, do you? I mean, you don't sound like you messing around with logos. Do you do logos and such?
Yeah, I'll get my packaging designed. I mean, it's just obviously go on Fiverr.com and you'll find someone. You might take a couple of tries. Someone not very good. I've had a fortunate experiences with that, but there are some good sellers on Fiverr who will do your design for you.
Okay. Something's going on in the chat here because Michael is saying it's against Amazon policy. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know how Dudley does that. Oh, Robert, you have to go back and watch the video, dude, because he has a way to do it, and it's legal. It's not against Amazon policy. It's about doing variations and being able to use the latest changes that Amazon has come up with on their what do you call it, their template uploads. They change stuff all the time, and you can go in there, and once you have your item in there, you can ask them to change nodes, and once they change a node, because you have a variation on it, it's almost impossible for somebody else to upload theirs in that same category. I don't know how. Believe me, it's legal, and he showed me how to do it, and I'm pretty sure it's on that on that interview. Okay, Shay says, what sources do you use most? Alibaba, AliExpress, another multi-channel, negotiation between the suppliers? Well, the first question. So you mostly use Alibaba? You don't use AliExpress?
Initially, I always go to Alibaba first, but I may not necessarily always buy it. Like I said, I do an image search, so that Google just takes me, to Taobao or 1688 or wherever it may take me. Then that's where I eventually buy from. But Alibaba is definitely where I go to first.
All right. So you're saying, do you ever order from 1688? I thought that was all like it's all in Chinese.
It is.
So how do you deal with that? Do you speak Mandarin?
No, I don't speak Mandarin. With 1688, I use Google Chrome, and that will translate it for you. I initially have to go on Google Translate and type in English. Hi, my name is Zach. I'm in the UK. I like your product. Can you supply it to me in the UK? And I get that translated, and I've saved that in a Word file, and then I can just copy and paste that into the chat in 1688. And more times than not, if they can speak English, or if they can communicate, or if they can supply me with the product, then they'll just start typing in English as well.
Okay, all right. By the way, that's interesting. So, who do you get to translate that for you?
Google.
Then does it ever backfire?
What do you mean?
Well, sometimes that translate stuff comes across like it doesn't make sense. The green dragon is asking for a price. Where did the green dragon come from?
Yeah. I mean, most of the time, if it's gonna work, it's gonna work, and then most of the time, it does work. They can get hold of someone who speaks English, and they'll just contact you.
So 1688 is the other one. Any other supply?
Taobao.
What?
Taobao. Taobao.com.
How do you spell that?
Let me put it in the chat. You've also got like Tmall, and like I said, it's just a Google search. So whatever the Google search brings, you don't really have to worry about knowing.
How do you use Google on this stuff? Are you putting anything specific?
I'm just using the image search. So I right-click the image, and in Chrome it says search Google for this image, and it'll bring up Google results. And like I said, some might be in Chinese, some might be in English, or even yeah.
Okay, well, how do you know that it's just an image that a manufacturer is using versus just an image on like a blog post? You got to go through all of that and figure out.
Yeah, that will happen. Where obviously, because Google's searching for that image, it will bring up everything that's got that image on. So it will have other sellers, listings on Amazon, or wherever they're selling, or the blog post, like you said. But more times than not, it will bring up a lot of these Chinese sites where they're selling the exact same product.
By the way, Christopher, where is the video? I just put a link at the top of the page. If you click on that, that's the replay link to watch my interview with Helen Edwards, a.k.a. Michael Dudley. I don't know if you'll know, but it's not. Helen Edwards is not a woman. It's actually a man. Watch it, and you'll figure out what that means. Alex wants to know how to find suppliers in 1 to 5 with 1 to 5 minimum order.
Okay, that's AliExpress. Or I
Yeah,
mean,
that's gotta be.
even Alibaba Wholesale. Like I said, some of the minimums is one piece. So it's
Yeah,
worth checking that out as well.
you're not gonna find that on Alibaba. It's gonna be AliExpress or Alibaba Wholesale. Okay. Alex also asked how to safely buy and ship middle to large heavy items like furniture, for example. Have you ever shipped
No,
heavy stuff?
I've had a couple of oversized items, but nothing obviously that oversized. No. But then, to be honest, it'd have to be by sea. Obviously, there's no other alternative.
Okay. Um, Telex is asking, how do you handle FBM shipping costs?
FBM shipping costs. Okay, that's probably in reference to drop shipping, I believe, or
Well, yeah, probably the fact that when you're doing Prime,
mhm.
you don't have to worry about shipping. So you have to either charge shipping or collect shipping, or does Amazon automatically add the shipping on FBM? They give you a shipping amount that you can charge,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, personally, I've set on my Amazon account to charge zero shipping, so all my items will be free shipping. It's just obviously the cost of the items I put in there, and for me,
So,
that's the simplest way to do it.
so how does that change though? If you're shipping it from China to say Tennessee or
Mhm.
China to California, does that shipping amount change, or is it going to be the same no matter where it goes in the U.S.?
With sent from China, it doesn't. As you've seen from that drop down, you've only got the drop down for like the country, so US or UK or wherever.
Okay, so
So, oh, still the same.
you just have to have a price right for the market you're in.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. That makes sense. All right, and then let's see. Telex says the main issue with about AliExpress is it takes over a month. So is that true? That if I don't know, you
It,
don't order much, but is that true?
I mean, when I've ordered from AliExpress for myself, just any item for myself, yeah, it takes about 2, 3, maybe a month, 2, 3 weeks, maybe a month. But if you're ordering within domestically from China to China, then it doesn't. Then, like I said, it takes a couple of days, if that.
Okay. Telex is making a comment about AmaSuite only gets top 100 in similar curated list. The JS web app is allegedly doing a recatalog and then letting you search it, which means you're getting secondhand data that's been combed. Might be true, but also on AmaSuite, the top 100 is not just the top 100. What you do is you add the top 100 to your list that you're going to filter, and then you go back into that same category and drill down to the subcategories and get the top 100 in the subcategory. There might be 15 subcategories, and you get the top 100 in each subcategory and add it all to the search. That gives you 1,500 items, or 100 times 15, and then under the subcategories, each one of those will have 15 or 20. So then you're looking at 15 times 15 times 100. That's 22,000. I mean, I don't know, 2,200. You can keep drilling down Telex with AmaSuite and go way down deep and get 1,000 or
Yeah.
5,000 or 10,000 items, and then start doing your filtering within that one main category. So I don't know
Yeah.
I hadn't a Scout web app yet, so I don't know if there's any advantage to it or not. Jungle Scout's getting more and more sophisticated and starting to add more and more features, but I'm not sure if it does everything AmaSuite does yet. What do
Yeah,
you, what
yeah.
do you
With,
think?
with, with AmaSuite, I mean, to be honest, with AmaSuite, in the previous versions of AmaSuite, I've had an error message saying the category you put in, the link you put in, does not even have 100 items for you to search into. So because of that, I mean, it just sort of stops. But I mean, they fixed that in the latest update. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, the way I look at it is Jungle Scout. I mean, where it's getting its data from is we're not 100% sure. I mean, when I use it myself, and it is obviously pretty accurate, but Amazon doesn't give that data away. Whereas what it does give away is number of reviews, the pricing, the weight, and all that
Right.
data is within AmaSuite. So I can rely more on AmaSuite to give me the correct data. Whereas ultimately, you know, regardless how good Jungle Scout is, you're just basing it on estimates essentially.
Yeah, Jungle Scout mainly gives you sales estimates. That's what you use. That's really the reason you use Jungle Scout to say how many of this thing's selling. You can't get that in Amasuite yet, and that's why you probably use both of them. That's why I use both. Telex is saying, how do you order 30 units from Alibaba? That's more than an AliExpress amount. That's more of an AliExpress amount. Well, because you're saying I need 30 samples, and they view that. I mean, where do you go? Where do they draw the line where they say, well, that's no more. You know, that's not really a sample order anymore. That's more of an order.
Well, I mean, to be honest, personally, I tell them, I have a retail store and I want to give them away. That's how I'm going to test your product. I'm going to give, I want to give 50 away to my customers. So I want to say to my customers, come in today, you can buy anything you want, and we'll give you this sample for free just to test out. We just like your feedback. Or
do you do that?
Yeah, I do that. And especially for Amazon reviews, where I can do that. I can have a promotion, I have a big,
So you
big
send them
banner on the
home.
window.
You send them home with a sheet that has a link to the product, so they can go do an actual review.
Well, I mean, to be honest, they can obviously just order it on the phone while they're in my store. So I can say, oh, here's a coupon code. It'll cost you nothing. They just buy it. I just hand it over, and they can take it home and leave a review.
Technically, you could set up a laptop and have them go on Amazon and order it, right?
Yeah, whatever works.
All right, I got you. But is there a number, though, that you can get to where, I mean, can you get away with getting, say, I need 50 samples? Where do you think they start cutting it off with? Well, 250 samples is really what most people would want to order their first order. That's what they want. They want 200, 250, 500 maybe.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, personally, I draw the line at 50. I've not really asked for more than 50.
But you've gotten 50 quite a few times as quote-unquote samples?
Well, 50 it's obviously been the cheaper items that I've had to do that for. So with that, because it's obviously quite cheap, it doesn't really make sense to only buy 2 or 3. So yeah, it depends on the value of the item.
Okay. Now we're going to drill into your actual business. What percentage of profit do you look for? Do you have a formula on how much profit you want to make, or how many pounds or dollars you want to make?
If it's coming from China, like I said, like from SFC drop shipped, then I mean, obviously I'm looking for a bit more, just because it should have more of a profit in there, just because obviously I'm cutting off some of the shipping costs. But if something's coming directly from China to the US, I mean, to be honest, I want to look at something where I can get it by sea and still make, a 50% profit. If I'm not making the 50% by air, then that's fine, because I know if I can sell it at that price, where if I get it in by sea, I'll sell it for, and I'll still make 50%, then that's fine. Then what I'll do is I'll have to increase my order and get it to that price, where now, because I've shipped it by sea, it is much cheaper. So that's what I aim for.
Okay. And what about, is there a specific specificated range, price range that you look for in a profit? In other words, is there a target price range that you want to be able, I guess, to sell?
I just look at percentages most of the time. I don't look at, I need to make, $10 or $15. I'm just looking at percentages.
Well, I'm thinking about price range being that, hey, if I don't sell it for at least $12, FBA price, fees are going to eat into it. I don't want to sell it for less. In other words, that sweet spot of 12 or 30 bucks.
Yeah, I mean, with me, obviously, because of the currency difference between pounds and dollars, it's going to be a bit different with most of these guys here in the webinar. But in Amasuite, for example, my price range, I put in £7 to £17.
Okay, all right, gotcha.
But the advantage with dropshipping directly from China is now I can have a product that's £2, £3, £4, and it doesn't matter, because FBA isn't eating up those fees.
Right. So, okay, so that might be something to experiment with. Susan, I hope that answered your question. Not pop back in there. Jake, can you link that node video? I just did Telex. I think it's at the top of the page. It's not really a node video. It's really about how to really manipulate the Excel spreadsheet upload when you're uploading variations and whatnot. And he tells you a few tricks on how you can, that your competition probably doesn't know about. And then Telex said N1688 the same as Alibaba?
No, I mean 1688 is for the for the Chinese market. if someone from China wants something, they'll probably go on 1688 to buy it themselves. I mean, I do know of at least one supplier on Alibaba who goes on 1688 and purchases their stock, and then they go on Alibaba to sell it. So, I mean,
So they do a little arbitrage on that.
yeah, exactly.
Online arbitrage, okay. And then last question I have on the board here, is there any air freight service that will be cheaper than Air Express and still much faster than sea? And if so, does SFC offer it? So is there an in-between service?
Air Express, obviously, that's in terms of like 2 to 3 days, or maybe 4 days maximum. Yeah, I think SFC do offer services that get here, within 8 days, within about 7, 8 days. So that is in between, pretty much. But I mean, well, obviously, it's more towards the Air Express, where the sea shipment will take you at least a month. So
there's kind of like a really fast, and then a kind of a not so fast, but not very long.
Yeah. Yeah, so it doesn't trend. It doesn't trend that way. It's just obviously it just drops off in terms of speed.
Okay, I gotcha. All right, guys. Hey, unless you got new questions, we're coming close to the end. We've been in here for about 2 hours now, a little over 2 hours. I hope you guys got some good information about how to use a fulfillment service. I know I have. Now that you've done this, I've got a product that I'm about to order from a supplier over there, but I'm going to put it to the test through SFC. Let me ask you this. How does SFC handle like oversized products? I got like a long, skinny product.
They'll just charge you your storage fee for where it is, and then it's just a case of when you put your dimensions and your weight in. As long as you're happy with that, then that's really all you're paying. I think they've got a small charge of what they charge as their fee, like a bit like Amazon's fee, like pick and pack. But if you run the numbers and they work out all right, then that's all you need to do.
Okay. I hope you guys enjoyed the webinar tonight. I really got some good information. I mean, I don't know why some of these guys at the beginning, we got some people that they must be very finicky. It's the same people. Oh, we can't hear. He sounds like he's chomping on marbles or whatever. And it does, and if you got a different accent, I have to admit when I thought I spoke English till I moved to the UK. And I found out that my English didn't count at all because every other word was different. And then I found out everybody sounded the same to me at first, but then after the longer I lived there, the more I figured out that every little town has its own little accent. It's like a variation of UK accent, because you don't sound like a Mancunian, and you're not going to sound like somebody from down south or Liverpool or whatever. No matter where you go, it's a slightly different accent. But I appreciate.
Wait till you call the Chinese if you telephone the Chinese suppliers.
So anyway, hey Robert gave. So if Robert gives you a thumbs up, you did well. Really interesting webinar, some great new ideas. Good deal.
Yeah.
We got everything right. Some people you can't satisfy them. And so anyway. Chan is saying, I shipped a 20-foot container, and it cost me about $5,000 from South China to LA port, custom cleared duties. I guess that's good. I don't know what that means. I guess you'd have to look at how many, what you can sell that 20-foot container for if you sold out. That reminds me too. Do you have many returns doing what you do?
Our items are quite cheap. I mean, especially these private label and China type, we obviously go for the cheaper products. So, I mean, if a customer wants to complain or says it doesn't work or whatever the reason is they don't like it, we just tell them to keep it. we don't want to deal with returns. We don't want Amazon to deal with returns either.
Right. Just keep it and stay friendly and don't give bad reviews. Do you even try to get reviews?
With reviews, yeah, we use Facebook. We use Facebook quite a lot for reviews. I mean, with us, obviously, like I said, we use our retail store.
Your own Facebook folks, or do you use some of the Facebook review groups, like top quality reviewers?
No, that's something I never do. I don't want to put my links anywhere. I mean, obviously, I am part of these review groups. I just want to obviously see what's out there.
You're afraid other sellers are going to steal your thunder, huh?
No. You ain't that at all. I mean, honestly, you ain't that. No. I mean, to be honest, it's conversions. I mean, if there's a review group with 11,000 members, and I'll put my link in there, That
No,
means
no, that's
11.
not. No, that's not what I'm talking about. That's different. That's a free for all. Like top quality reviewers, what they do is you decide how many items you want to give away or discount or whatever. Most of them just discount. And so somebody has an essential oils diffuser, and they want to get reviews. She'll say, "Hey, I've got 20 of these," and then people say, "I want to do it. I want to do it. I want to do it." Everybody
But
comments.
but will she put the link in?
No, no, no. No, she didn't put the link in. She
Oh,
takes
okay.
the 20 people and she picks the 20 people out of the 70 people that responded, and she makes sure that those people are up to, that they don't have outstanding reviews that they haven't finished. Some people don't do their paperwork properly. And then she gives those 20 people in a private message, and each person gets their own individual unique
Okay.
code. So then she gives you the link to the item. You go to the item and you put in your code and you purchase it and you get it for free or get it for discount. And then you have to follow up and you have to provide the order number and the permalink to your review and all of that, so she can guarantee to the seller that, hey, look, I've got 95%
Okay.
success rate. So she really is very good at that stuff. I've done a lot of reviews for her. I get a lot of cool products that way, that are cheap and
Okay.
free. So she controls that, and then if she has any problem with these people, she just kicks them out. She doesn't. It's called
Okay.
top quality reviews. In fact,
Okay.
I've got a link right here, guys. Somebody's asking me for it. I'm
That's
gonna.
obviously just for the US, isn't it?
Probably yes. I would say that's probably
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, it's just
So
that especially with UK, I don't think there's anything like that that's so sophisticated or so it's got that sort of structure there. Because what I see is a lot of people just pasting the link of the item and saying, who wants to review this? And what happens is
right.
people just
No, no,
click
no.
on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they click on it and they just kill the conversion on that page. So Amazon just ranks them way down just because they've had so many clicks.
No, what she does is it's above board. It doesn't violate terms of service because she's not selling reviews. You pay her a fee for her to manage this group of people who are going to purchase a verified purchase, and they're going to leave a review. She can't make them give good reviews, but
Okay.
you can expect people are going to probably give you a good review. I mean, I cut the tip of my finger off with a mandolin slicer. I reviewed this mandolin slicer, and I was sitting there going, cutting a bell pepper, and and it was a lot bigger than that. It was like almost the size of a dime. It cut the end of my finger off. I still gave him a 5-star review because guess what? It's a freaking sharp ass mandolin slicer. It did its job. I didn't pay attention to the warning that says you might want to wear gloves. Well, I gave a review that says you absolutely do want to wear gloves. Never might wear gloves. You better wear gloves. You're going to cut your finger off. Anyway, so all right. Hey guys, with that said, please go out if you found this webinar on a Facebook group and you clicked the link and that's how you got registered. Please go back to that Facebook group and go to the actual invite link and comment and say this was a kick-ass webinar and Zach really hit it out of the park, and that'll give other people. Yeah, it was a clean cut, Robert. I mean, it cut the freak out of me. It cut it. I mean, you literally, if you go watch the review's out there. I didn't cut it out of the review. I really I debated on whether I finished review because my dad was sitting there filming it, and I was going zip 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 zip, and all of a sudden I went, oh crap, and he just kept filming. I said, oh, I just cut the end of my finger off, and the actual end of my finger. My wife watched the video. She goes, there it is right there. It was on the end. You could see the tip of my finger sitting on the mandolin slicer. So I came back probably about a week later and finished the review and gave them a good review because yes, it is, Mitchell. It is being taped. You automatically will get a replay link at, probably about 4 hours after this is over. What's the Facebook group name? It's right up here, guys. It's right above you in that link. It's called Top Quality Reviewers. But anyway, Robert, I got a still photo where I circle it and shoot a little arrow and say, here's the tip of my finger so people could see it. But I also think it gives people a true review, which is, hey, this is dangerous. You better not you better take this thing seriously. Arjun, what's the Facebook group name? It's called Top Quality Reviewers. I've got it posted at the top of the chat right there. You can click on that link. It'll open up Top Quality Reviewers, and you can go in there and check it out. You do have to join it, and you do have to fill out a form, an online form, and you need to read the instructions very carefully, because if you decide you're going to review a product for her, you need to do it, follow the rules, or she'll kick you out. And if you're a seller, you can contact her as a seller. Please tell her that you heard it from me so that she'll know that I'm talking about her. I did 2 interviews with her. Let me go find her interviews, and I'll post them in here. Bridget, let's see, here we go. I did a full interview with her, and then I did a follow-up interview that she wanted me to do. So let's see. I'm not going to put that up as a sticky. I'm just going to put that at the bottom. I'm going to put it in the regular chat room. There's 2 more webinars you guys can go watch with Bridget Williams on how to get reviews, and she talks about how she handles her business, and she's actually improved it even more since that. Since we did that. When was that? That's been a while since I interviewed her. That's I don't have the date on that. Anyway, again, I was in the middle of saying, hey, go out and tell other people about this webinar. Go comment on the Facebook groups on the link where you signed up, and tell people that, if you liked it. If you think it sucks, you probably didn't stick around, so you can't really, you're probably not doing. The people who left early, they may go out and say something bad too. I don't know. I don't really care. But we've had over 300 people register, and a bunch of those people will come back and watch the replay. And if you guys hang in here with me, guys, remember, you do not need hundreds of reviews. You certainly don't. In fact, I was surprised at Andrew Chernlin. I interviewed him 2 or 3 weeks ago. He's like, he just wants to get 3 or 4 reviews. That's all he needs, just 3 or 4 reviews, and he's off running. And he runs a pay-per-click campaign, and then he doesn't really worry about it. So, and Robert says, I see tons. I see items that sell tons that have 50 or less reviews, and I've seen some that have no reviews and sell. Because people, I mean, it's crazy. So don't get hung up on getting a bunch of reviews. But that's why a lot of these guys are not asking for 50 or 100. They're coming into Bridget and saying, hey, I want to give away 10 or 15 or 20, or I'm going to discount these. Not a lot. So, all right, guys, that's it. I'm going to pull the plug. I don't have a guest scheduled yet for next week. I'm working on it. I will be sending out an email about this new service. By the way, I did find out the name of it. It's called 2016 and Beyond. It's not really a descriptive name for a course to take about how to sell private label, but this Mike Collins guy might not be the best marketer when it comes to naming his group on how to sell private label. But I tell you one thing, he knows how to sell products on Amazon. The guy sells millions and millions, and he's helped other people do it. And I've seen it firsthand by Dave and Sarah Gilman. They've rocketed to the top, and they're continuing to expand their business and private label, and they attribute most of their success to this guy Mike Collins and how he's done it. So I'll be sending that out. You guys can check it out if you want. I'll probably be doing like a live webinar with him. I've got to call him and set it up. Okay, let's see. Where are you located in? Chan's asking, where are they located in China, SFC? That Shenzhen, is that right?
Shenzhen, yeah.
Shenzhen. Okay. Okay. Dustin says, thanks, Jake and Zach. Great information. Always great to hear from other importers. By the way, guys, if you are somebody who sells on Amazon right now and you're doing pretty well, contact me. I'd love to interview if you've got shots. I mean, Zach's been selling online for 7 years, but he's only been doing private label since February. But you can tell he's learned a lot pretty quick. He's figured a lot of stuff out. There's bound to be more of you guys out there that are in our audience that I should be interviewing. You don't have to have millions of dollars in sales to be successful. You just have to have a story to tell. And if you know somebody, I'm looking for other people to interview, please send them my way. Send me an introduction. And John says, thank you guys. Do you have any last parting words of wisdom, Zach? Is there a question that we should have asked that we didn't ask?
Most of your audience, especially the ones remaining at this time, are American. But I mean, for example, if you're outside the US, with payments, I mean, this is something I always talk about to, family and friends and other people who do this. When you want to make a payment to when you want to pay for your order, I personally I try to ask them for the price in their own currency in RMB. Just because, I mean, it just makes sense for them to, give it you cheaper just because they don't have to convert US dollars into RMB. I mean, if you've got a US account in US dollars, then okay, it might make sense for you. But for me, it doesn't make sense for me to convert pound sterling into US. And then when they get it, they convert that back into their local currency. I'd rather just pay them that. And more times than none, I've found that saves me my cost. They'll give me a better cost in Chinese yuan rather than US dollars.
Okay, if I'm sitting over here in the U.S. and I'm in U.S. dollars, though, shouldn't I still ask them for RMB since I'm going to pay SFC and let them convert it at SFC's in when they? In
Yeah, it's always worth asking. It's more so for obviously everyone outside the US or everyone who's not got a US account, who's got
Okay.
an account in a different currency.
Richard's asking, what is the service that GillDaddy made? GillDaddy and GillMama have hooked up with a guy named Mike Collins. Mike Collins was running a service that they were charging. I think they started out around $600, and then they quickly went up to $5,000, and they've sold that for about a year now. And then they actually, I think, his partners raised it to like $10,000. And Mike Collins was like, this is crazy. We shouldn't be paying $10,000. But so they had a little schism there, and Mike decided to go out on his own, and he recruited GillDaddy and GillMama because they were really good students of his, and he knew that they worked hard and that they was a good success story. So they're working with him in this new launch. This new launch will happen. Let me see what the date is on that. Let's see. The launch is going to happen between October 15th and the 22nd, so that's like a week from now. The 12th is the pre-launch, and I think they're going to have some training on the pre-launch. There's going to be some videos and whatnot, and I'll be sending out emails to my list here just to see if you guys want to join me. I'm going to pay full price to be in this this as a student, just like you guys are, but I will be an affiliate, so they will compensate me if I refer you guys. But I know, based on Dave and Sarah, and I know them, I was ready to jump in their course back when they were in it, but I just wasn't really willing to spend $5,000. I thought about it, but now that he's relaunching at $695, like that's a no freaking brainer. That's nothing. And I make my money back through the knowledge of working with this guy and being able to ask questions and getting some insight. I mean, think about it, guys. Every time I bring somebody on like Zach, Robert Weisberg is an accomplished seller, but he said, hey, I learned some new stuff tonight. Well, you're dealing with guys that sell super multi-millions. They got to know the stuff that other people don't know, and they're going to pass that along to you. So the name of that, it's not a Facebook group, by the way, Robert. I don't know if they probably will have a Facebook group, but I haven't joined. They haven't launched it yet, so they don't have anything yet that I know of. But they're just getting ready to launch, and I guess since it's only going to be open for a week, it's first come, first serve, and how many people are going to do it. Okay. What is that? Oh, you just put in what is that link? Jordan Malik?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I know Jordan.
Yeah, no. Someone asked about how to sell in US if you're out France, if you're in the UK.
Okay.
He just goes through that, and I just follow that.
Okay,
as it is,
good deal.
That's about it.
Okay. What's the Facebook group name? I don't know, Arjun, which one you're talking about, but it is 2016 and beyond is what they're calling. There is no URL yet because it hadn't launched. You guys are probably the first people on the earth that know about it, other than the people who invented or are developing it. They didn't tell me I couldn't tell you guys, so I'm letting you guys know. So you might be getting prepared. You may want to scrape up your dollars and pennies if you think you might be interested in taking the course. I'm excited about taking the course. I can't wait to get in there and start it up. I don't care if a single one of you guys join me. I'm doing it myself because I know that I'm going to benefit from it. Let's see. Arjun asked one more question. Zach, what did you do to start selling? Okay, that's the question you answered.
Yeah.
Okay, so get that guide that he put up there, and that will help you learn how to sell if you're outside of the U.S. to sell into the U.S. Okay, all right, guys. With that, we're gonna pull the plug. Zach, appreciate you, brother. Thanks for coming on
No
here.
problem.
And we'll see you guys at the next Amazon Live Hangout. Cheers.
Bye.